Are you searching for the best in online black radio? Then go to blacktalkradionetwork.com, helping you filter through the noise. Real talk, black talk.
The internet is full of half-truths and all-out lies. We've all seen them, and many people on social media complaining about it. Here's your chance to show and prove. WorldAfropedia.com is a black-owned and operated encyclopedia. There are several thousand articles, but we need help. We can't uncover all the truth ourselves. So please, join us and become a writer, editor, or blogger for WorldAfropedia.com today. Every little bit counts. We owe it to the future generations to put the truth out there. Visit WorldAfropedia.com, the African-centered encyclopedia, a global database of African knowledge for the purpose of bringing about global African wisdom and understanding. WorldAfropedia.com.
From the Center for Investigative Reporting and PRX, this is Reveal. I'm Al Letson. If you've ever applied for a temp job, you know, it's a little weird because a lot of the time, you don't even know what job you're applying for. You just fill out a form with your work history and skills and wait for a call. The temp agency looks for a company that needs someone like you. It could be an office job, factory work, construction, almost any job out there. But sometimes it's not your skills they care about.
The construction company, they will call in the morning and says, I need like 10 laborers. Do me a favor, do not send me any monkeys. Send me crackers. I don't want any monkeys on my site.
These are the kind of calls some temp agencies are getting from their clients. Hiring workers based on their skin color isn't just racist, it's illegal. So sometimes temp agencies rely on code words to hide what's going on.
Basically, they refer to people as either a vanilla cupcake or a chocolate cupcake.
They will say, like, no kitties. You know, like, don't send me no kitties, which that refer to homosexual people or women.
That's what's crazy is it's not really a code word. I mean, everybody knows what the hell it means, you know. I mean, big hands, small hands. Big hands is man, small hands is woman. You know, blue eyes, you know, brown eyes, you know, that type of thing.
Our reporter, Will Evans, made these recordings as part of an investigation we first aired in January. You might not think it would affect that many people, but the temp industry has come back strong since the recession and now employs as many as 14 million people a year. We're going to spend the next hour revisiting our reports on this type of discrimination and tell you what's happened since our stories first aired. We begin in Tennessee with two sisters born in Russia who ended up recruiting workers for a temp agency that handles, well, all sorts of requests. Here's Will.
Oksana and Anastasia Istomin are chatting with me in their apartment in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They point out this painting on their living room wall. Giant rock formations jut from the sea, silhouetted by the sun.
That's where we're from.
That's
the Sea of Japan right there.
My grandfather painted that. It's beautiful.
Dad's dad. And the one by the door, he painted that one as well downstairs.
Oksana and Anastasia were born in Nakhudka. That's in Russia's Far East. It was during the Cold War. The sisters' parents were religious activists, part of an underground Pentecostal church. And at that time, Soviet authorities were cracking down on Protestant Christians and others they saw as a threat. Oksana is the older of the two sisters. She's 37, and one of her earliest memories is of a late-night visit from the KGB.
So they dragged my dad out of the house by his hair, out of the apartment, and we didn't see him for 6 months, didn't know if he was alive, dead, where he was.
Their father eventually got released, and after many years of trying to leave the Soviet Union, the family got refugee visas that allowed them to immigrate to the United States. They ended up settling in southeastern Tennessee in 1990. Their parents had heard that people here took their religion very seriously.
The buckle of the Bible Belt.
They talked about that.
Oh, that was the selling point.
All grown up, the sisters also ended up working together, just across the street from their apartment complex, at a place called Automation Personnel Services. It's a staffing company with branches across the South. It provides temp workers for offices, industrial plants, and warehouses. At Automation, the sisters were recruiters. They'd interview people looking for jobs and take down their information. And when an order for workers came in, it was the sisters' job to go through their stable of applicants and find the right match. But it wasn't long before the sisters started getting unusual requests from an Automation sales rep. Here's Anastasia.
She called me on the phone and said that she had an order and said that they wanted, the usual country boys. And I said, no, I don't know. So she started saying that they like white guys over there and not to send anybody black.
This type of request wasn't written down. It was supposed to be subtle.
They would try to make it sound, I guess, more gentle or delicate than it actually is. And they would say, country boys, the usual.
It sounds a lot nicer than no black people.
Yeah.
And the temps have no idea, right?
Oh, God,
No,
no.
absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not.
To be clear, automation would hire African Americans. They'd just send them to the companies that would accept workers of all races. And if there wasn't an opening that day, those black workers would be out of luck. And it wasn't always just about race. Some companies only wanted young workers. Others wanted men. Still others requested women. How often did that kind of stuff happen?
On a daily basis. Weekly, all the time. But to the point of where it was just common.
Remember, in the Soviet Union, the sisters and their family were singled out and treated harshly. That's why they came to America.
I know what it's like to be persecuted and to see American citizens be treated like because of the color of their skin is just, of all countries in the world, this is the country that it shouldn't be happening in.
Temporary jobs are one of the fastest growing parts of America's economy. But I was finding that hiring discrimination among staffing agencies is a big problem. I came across automation when I turned up 2 recent lawsuits where former recruiters accused the company of discrimination. One settled and one was thrown out, but I was struck by a similarity. Both recruiters said they were told to send only white workers to certain clients. So I started reaching out to people who'd worked at automation. I found the Eastman sisters, and then I spoke to Christy Ragland. She was the office manager at a branch in Kennesaw, Georgia. It's a bit hard to hear her because of the phone connection. She's describing one of Automation's customers.
He would call and say things like, "He didn't want any black thugs." That's exactly how he would say it.
No black thugs. And the guy who said this, Christy says he was a manager at Magnum Products, a company that makes drywall compound. He wanted workers, but only white ones.
I didn't like it. Me personally, I tried not to deal with him because I am African American, and it made me feel a certain type of way.
But Christy says her boss at Automation told her to give the manager what he wanted.
Yeah, she sat down and had a conversation with me about him and said that he's one of these special type clients. And she said he's racist as hell. That's exactly what she said. But, at the end of the day, he helps out billable hours, and he's looking for a certain type of person, and we have to send him exactly what he's looking for.
Christy says she was fired in 2015 after telling her boss that she didn't want to be office manager anymore. As for that drywall company, I spoke with a manager there, not the guy Christy was talking about. He called the allegations hearsay crap. I talked to more than 24 former Automation employees who told me this type of discrimination was common. The people I talked to were recruiters, office managers, and sales reps from 6 states. They told me Automation would often send out temp workers not based on their experience or skills, but because of their race, age, or gender. It was simple. Whatever a hiring company wanted, Automation would deliver.
What you're describing is the typical situation that's found all over the country, many different staffing agencies.
Mark Bendick is an economist who's also testified in discrimination lawsuits. I turned to him because he's done some of the only studies that try to quantify job discrimination in the staffing industry. And for his studies, Mark uses undercover testing. A team of researchers pull together lots of people, usually college students, and pick 2 who seem the most similar, except one of them is black and one is white. They give them virtually identical resumes, have them dress alike, and even train them to talk the same way.
So that by the time they're ready to go out and look for jobs, an employer has little to choose between them. In situations like that, unfortunately, we've observed discrimination as often as 2 times out of 3 with employment agencies.
I put these findings to the Staffing Industry Association, and an official there disagreed, saying this kind of discrimination is very rare, at least no more common than in any other industry. But Mark says he's found that the rate of discrimination in the temp industry is actually higher than when a company selects its own workers.
Employers often select staffing agencies specifically to do their dirty work, to discriminate for them. The employers like to think, well, if we just hire from the pool of people who are sent to us by the staffing agency, then we're not discriminating.
So why does this happen anyway? Mark says it's often driven by bigotry and stereotypes, that people of a certain race or ethnicity work harder than others.
Automation Personnel Services is one of the most admired companies in the staffing industry, specializing in light industrial and administrative clerical opportunities.
Automation was founded in 1990. As the temp industry boomed, automation boomed right along with it. In 2014, the company hit $180 million in revenue. Automation's president, Steve Nordenus, built the business from scratch. And he's an interesting character. He's known for a speech he gives to all his employees about how he once fired an entire branch office for discriminating. We wanted to be sure to talk to Steve. We spent weeks calling and emailing. We went to his office and his house. Eventually, a PR company sent us this audio tape.
Let me tell you about Automation Personnel Services.
That's Steve.
We have a very strict zero-tolerance policy against discrimination. It isn't just illegal, it's immoral. That's why we train all our employees on Steve's rule. The rule states if any employee acts against our guiding principles, not only is that person subject to termination, but the entire office as well.
Steve's story about firing an entire branch is something of a legend at Automation. So I tried to get more details from company vice president Randy Watts. When did Steve fire an entire branch?
To be honest with you, I don't recall exactly. It was probably more than 10 years ago.
Do you remember what the issue was?
I really don't, other than it was a violation of our hiring practices.
But it was discrimination.
Again, I really don't recall. It was a long time ago.
Do you remember where?
I don't, to be honest.
It's clear that Automation has an official policy against discrimination, but I was hearing something different from people who worked in its branch offices. Candy McDermott was an office manager for Automation in Huntsville, Alabama. Just after coming back from corporate training and hearing about Steve's rule, Candy says her supervisor took her aside. The supervisor explained that some of Automation's clients had special requests.
And she would say, "No, we can't put this in the computer, but I'm telling you, they're only going to take these type of people. They want women. They want Hispanics. This is just between us. We can't tell anybody we're doing it."
Some of these requests came from small regional companies you've never heard of, but Candy says they also came from one of Automation's biggest clients in the area, LG Electronics, the huge South Korean company that makes everything from washing machines to cell phones. We're just coming off the freeway here in Huntsville, Alabama. There's the LG warehouse right there, big LG complex. Got the American flag, the Korean flag, and the LG flag. LG's operation in Huntsville is one of the company's largest in the U.S. and is located in a special customs zone. The company keeps its labor force flexible by using lots of temp workers. Candy McDermott said the operation is so big that Automation has a staffing coordinator posted at LG.
The coordinator that was out there would actually call and say, they only want Hispanics. That was the request. They had to be Hispanic.
4 other former Automation employees also told me that LG specifically wanted Latinos and got them. Sandra Keith, a former Automation recruiter, told me these orders were coming directly from an LG warehouse manager. She says she knows this because he told her himself while she was posted at LG.
Don't know exactly what his reasons were behind that, but he would just flat out say, hey, we need some more Hispanics, or hey, we need some more Mexicans over here. You guys got any? Those would be like his exact words.
So you were expected to basically comply with that request?
Yes, nothing more, nothing less.
Do you think that any black workers, white workers didn't get jobs as a result?
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that particular company, absolutely.
LG declined my requests to visit the warehouse and talk to managers. Instead, I spoke with John Taylor, Vice President for Public Affairs and Communications. I told him what I'd heard about worker discrimination at the LG facility.
I'm not sure what a few former say, but the fact is that this is not in accordance with our policy. And, if we did find that this was going on, it would be dealt with swiftly and strongly.
He said LG investigated and found nothing wrong.
I wish we could help you with your story, but there just doesn't seem to be anything there.
Automation officials told me the same thing. They had investigated in Huntsville and all those other branches where I'd heard about problems. They found no proof of any discrimination. Kelly Breckenridge is Automation's corporate counsel.
I'm not an easy person to get around, believe me, and I can say with confidence that APS does not discriminate.
Both LG and Automation did say that the workforce at the warehouse is overwhelmingly Latino. Both companies pointed to a high concentration of Latinos living nearby.
That particular customer you're referring to is in an area that's demographically more Hispanics than any other.
There are some neighborhoods not too far from LG with large numbers of Latinos, but automation recruits workers from around Huntsville, not just specific neighborhoods. So here's the problem. According to automation, 75% of the temp workers at the LG warehouse are Latino. But according to U.S. Census data, the Huntsville area is less than 5% Latino.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, December 22nd, 2016. So I have been told this is our weekly. It is every Thursday, workplace racism. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Just making sure some of the listeners who contacted seemed like they were not sure when the workplace racism segment airs. It's every Thursday. Doesn't change. Every Thursday. We've been doing it for about a half a year now. Every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That is workplace racism. If you have commentary you would like to share, if you are a black entrepreneur, you work for yourself, as they say, we would definitely like to hear your experience in terms of how you are able to navigate or how you experience racism, white supremacy, being self-employed. If you do not experience racism at all, if that has solved your problem, we would certainly like to hear all the details on that as well. If you do work, company, office job, you work outdoors, whatever you happen to do. I know we have people that also do driving and other types of employment. Call in, share. This is a program. This is, I think, one of the only programs, maybe the compensatory call-in, but certainly this program more than any other, where I really think it's important that we not be spectators with regards to counter-racism. Dr. Welsing talked about this all the time. She said, in her clinical opinion, as a counter-racist scientist, it should be impossible to have a collection of 3, 4, 5 black people, maybe even 2, but a collection of black people, and not be able to have an engaged and serious dialogue about workplace racism, different ways that we are being mistreated in the workplace, things that we observe in the workplace, certainly not getting just compensation in the workplace. We should all be able to do that, so that's what we want to take this opportunity, and not just, woe is me, it's so bad, I'm, stomped on in the workplace, but really trying to think of strategies, things that we can use in the workplace to minimize problems, even to be proactive, to see things that could potentially be a problem, to recognize patterns. These are the types of things that racists typically do on the job, so I'm going to do these things or already have some things in place to try to stop or neutralize this from happening to begin with, or once they get it started, boom, I've already got my things together so I know how to respond. That's what we kind of want to use these sessions for. If you have figured out some things that help you eliminate conflict with other white coworkers, other non-white coworkers, just make it so you get to go in, you do your job, you are not molested, you don't have people hugging you or touching you that you don't want. You just get to go in, do your work, go home, you get all your promotions, your raises. We need to hear from you ASAP. Make sure you dial in. The number is 641-715-3640. The code is 564943 pound. Press star 6 if you would like to participate. Certainly, if you're experiencing problems and you would like suggestions, you can always, we're always encouraged to dial in and share that as well. And listeners will, see if we can come up with our thoughts, suggestions, things that might help remedy the situation. If you're not able or if you're not comfortable calling in, you can certainly email. My email is untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. If you want to drop an email, and then I can just read your commentary on the air anonymously. I know some people have concerns about giving up too much personal information. I'll give out the number again so people have an opportunity to call in. Just wanted to, number one, the audio clip we heard at the beginning of the program from the Reveal podcast. They have some interesting segments. Richard Spencer, he stopped by there. I played that segment a while back, but they did 2 different 1-hour programs over the course of 2016 talking about racism in the temp industry. That was the follow-up to the original segment that they did this year. And you didn't even hear the whole thing. You just heard about the first 15 minutes or so of the piece. There's an additional about 40 minutes. But I thought it was so important, just some of the things that you heard within that piece. Number one, I think when they were giving the story about how they fired the whole branch, racism is not acceptable, and we'll fire the whole branch. That just sounds like a total lie, something that they just totally racists just came in and, hey, that sounds like a good one. We'll tell them we fired the whole branch one day. Can't think of when this happened, where this happened, what was the reason for this happening, but we know it happened. Gosh darn it! And we don't tolerate no cotton picking discrimination around here. No sirree. I also thought that whole response, it reminded me of so many of the conversations that I've had with whites over the years, both on the air here at the C.O.W.S and just, in my life, when you start asking, important questions. Let's get the information. Let's find out what's going on here. And it's, oh man, I just don't remember. Do you remember any racist jokes? I don't remember. Is this the same way that you respond to these type of violations? Has another employee done, a similar action and not been fired? I don't remember. I just don't recall. I just don't have that information off of standard operating procedure. Also, just codes. They kept saying that over and over, and they had so many different codes. We don't want any monkeys here. We want big hands, and all their different little ways of hiding the fact that they're talking about racism, white supremacy, just for me, that sort of thing. And I think it was even a white male, at least I think it was a white male, where he said, what do you mean code? It was obvious. Everybody knew what it was, which again just goes back to my point. That is the greatest lie on the planet. You cannot be white and be ignorant about racism. They brought some white people from Russia, the area of the world known as Russia. They bring them over here, and you can't be ignorant about racism, so we're going to let you know the deal. This is not Russia. This is how we operate racism, white supremacy in this part of the world. And you got to be on board if you're trying to get a job and hang out in this part of Tennessee. Or you can go back, wherever you came from or do whatever else. But this is how we do business here. And apparently they complied. Now, they can whine and moan and all that about, we hated it. It was terrible. Yeah. You, in my view, you're all practicing racism, white supremacy. And again, the main point, you cannot be ignorant. Also thought the religion of white supremacy, they talked about that at the beginning, that this was the Bible Belt, the buckle of the Bible Belt. And I always thought that was such a striking, literally, pun intended, metaphor, because we're talking about predominantly the Bible Belt areas where you had lots of enslaved, raped black people. And that's what they know about the Bible Belt, being beaten, sometimes literally with the Bible Belt's other instruments of torture, and then other times figuratively being beaten with the Bible. Obey your master. And last thing I'll say about that piece, the person that is most to blame, even though it was, sometimes they were saying they just wanted Hispanic workers, they didn't want any black workers, like they were talking about in this area of Alabama. Other times they were saying that they wanted white workers, they didn't want any black workers. The people who are most to blame for that, racist man, racist woman, racist child. A lot of times they set things up so that we're in conflict with other non-white people. A couple quick things before I get to callers. I'll give out the number again if people would like to share. A listener, he wanted to share an app. The app is called, the app is named Call Recorder. It records all phone calls or specific phone numbers. It's good for workplace racism. You can just pull it up if you go to, I guess, the App Store, what have you. Or I guess you could probably just search it online and then just go and download it. But it's called Call Recorder. Nothing fancy, nothing tricky. Call Recorder. You'll see it. You'll see the icon. It has like a red circle with a green phone receiver in the middle of it. But he said it works great. You can check it out. Try it out, see if it works. Might be something that you can use on the job. Also, I had a report. Someone wrote in. I'll share this and then we'll get to the people that dialed in who have commentary. The person that wrote in, they said, this is a non-white female. I currently work a part-time retail job where racism is rampant. A few months ago, our black store manager just simply up and quit one night. She couldn't take it anymore. She quit and they immediately hired a Hispanic female to fill her spot. I don't know if this is a white person or a non-white person. I do. Just my personal code, I do not use that term. If someone else uses it, I signify that, or I'll put it in quotes, but Hispanic is not a racial classification. It's white, non-white. So I don't know if we're talking about a white person or a non-white person. Well, slowly but surely, every single manager under her and the higher paying administration roles were filled with Hispanic employees, while all the black people remain on the floor, cashiers, floor attendants, etc. There are a few managers and leads who don't speak English at all. They can't assist any customers who aren't Spanish speaking. The leads and managers are unbearable. They barely do any work, but expect the black people to take on extra shifts, stay for 12 hours, cleaning and setting up the store, just pretty much work 10 times harder just to cover for all the lazy managers and leads. If things aren't extremely tidy, there's a lot of yelling and write-ups from management. They are using this tactic to get rid of the black employees, as a few blacks have already quit or been fired and replaced with Hispanics. The last black lead that worked here literally got fired for forgetting to punch in, although she was here doing her work the whole time. The Hispanic managers will excuse themselves from the store, go out and get lunch, come back and then punch out for their hour lunch. They never get in trouble or reprimanded for it. A few of us have talked about contacting the EEOC, but we don't know how to go about it. We called our company's hotline and corporate, and nothing is being done. We have heard stories of black people getting the EEOC involved and it backfiring on them, for instance. They have an extremely hard time finding another job, or they literally remain unemployed for years. Help, please. So if folks have thoughts about dealing with this situation, this seems like if it's this flagrant with regards to if you're a non-white person, anything, you forget to punch in, or just anything can be used as justifications for your termination, while you have other people that, are just having this sort of flagrant disregard for the rules, punching out when they feel like it, or not punching out when they feel like it, not working at all and just shoving their duties off on somebody else. If it's this flagrant, this seems like the type of environment that anybody, at least on a local level and probably pretty high up, that you go to try to remedy this situation, is seeming like they are probably part of the problem, probably amongst the people that are being lazy and not doing anything except for firing folks and taking long lunch breaks. That sort of environment is going to be really difficult. I would think, even if you are documenting, unless this is the sort of thing that, and I've heard both Mr. Williams and Mr. Fuller talk about it, if this is the sort of thing where it's okay, I'm going to document and I'm going to pursue, when Mr. Fuller talks about pursuing it, the constitutional route. Am I in this for the long haul? Like, as long as it takes, because this could be the type of thing, if you pursue that route, it could take a long time to fill out all the evidence and go through the documentation and all that. Am I willing to invest in that process? I've heard them say that, because it seems like that might be about your only remedy, because this sounds dire, and I know a lot of people are in that sort of situation where the people that you would be going to address this, expecting them to do right, are the very people that are not doing right in the first place, that are leading to this problem. So this seems like, and I know people have griped about it and all that, and said that they don't think it doesn't seem like a viable strategy at all. I totally understand that, but this is one of those where I could totally hear Mr. Fuller saying this is one where you got to go the constitutional route, where is this a violation of the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law? It's seeming very flagrantly that everyone is not being treated equally on this job. Is that true? Documenting that, and however long it takes for that to be adjudicated, that. Unless callers, if you have suggestions, things that might help in this situation, I can read it again if folks want to get more details. The number, if you would like to dial in, is 641-715-3640. The code is 564943#. Press *6 if you would like to participate. I would say the EEOC route, I have not seen where that is very successful at all. I don't know very many folks at all who have had success going that route. It's almost, from my experience, at minimum, like the best is that nothing will happen. Like that seems to be the most consistent result. Nothing will happen at all. That, it just sits around. It just goes on and on and on. I think I played a segment on workplace racism a while back. They had a case. It was still pending after 12 years. And it hadn't been adjudicated, no conclusion. It just sat on a desk or in a filing cabinet somewhere for 12 years. That's kind of what I expect from EEOC. So I generally don't even encourage people to start that whole process. But we'll see. If folks, I'd like to kind of address this first because she was calling in and she sounds like she's in a real tough spot, and I suspect a lot of folks that listen in can relate to this. So if we can address this first, and then we can move forward, if people can, if they want to talk about their own issues and all that, that's great too. But if folks have any commentary or suggestions to offer for the listener who wrote in about this, everyone who dialed in with a hand up, line should be open. We have anyone, any suggestions with this?
Yes, may I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's me and Casey. I wanted to address the person who wrote in and their issue. I did go to the EEOC about 8 years ago. I represented myself. I did not have the finances for an attorney. The end of the matter was I did win my case. I believe the whole process was something like 2 months, and I won 6 months back pay. The issue that we were dealing with at the EEOC was specifically a supervisor who was making racist remarks and was heard in the presence of other employees and making racist jokes. And that was specifically what took us to the EEOC. I was fired I was laid off, in quotes, after a hurricane, and I suspect that it was because the management was practicing racism and decided to clear house, so to speak, and get rid of all the black employees. I am not extremely confident in the EEOC. That being said, after winning a case and tying it in with the caller's story, I do use call recorder, and it is extremely helpful to me, although right now I am, quote-unquote self-employed. When I worked for a company, I regretted a lot of times I did record calls, and call recorder is extremely helpful. I think if that particular person has any type of evidence, again, don't put all your eggs. Don't think that your evidence is going to win the case, because there are a lot of people who enjoy practicing racism who work with the EEOC, including victims who sometimes are confused and try to quote unquote be logical and think that white people cannot practice racism. So I'm just going to say, use the evidence. You can go to EEOC, bring the evidence. There are very few people who do win cases. I won 6 months back pay because I had been out of work for over a year. So again, it really didn't make up for the fact that I wasn't working, but I did at least get some back pay out of it. And I'll probably save my comments for later for my own experiences this week. Thank you.
Can I ask just real quick? I appreciate you sharing your own experience. When you go through these processes, because you said you had put that in quote, successful outcome with your case. But when you go through this,
yes,
this is a long ordeal. This is not something that's resolved in like 48 hours. Is that correct?
No, it is not. For me, I was fortunate to be a few months. And they were it was a non-white female who was arbitrating my case. And I believe that had something to do with it. Again, the person who's going to approve the case being won is generally not a non-white person. It's going to be a white male, white female, racist man, racist woman. So I think that's something that people should keep in mind.
Absolutely. And I would just add, if there are other folks who have suggestions for the person who wrote in specifically, I would just add that even if it is a non-white person, you should absolutely not get your hopes up in at all. And someone mentioned that before on workplace racism, and that's just about being a serious counter-racist soldier. I wouldn't care if the person looked like Dr. Wilson's twin was the person who was going to be adjudicating your case. I would still be thinking racist man, racist woman are most in charge, and they might be following exactly whatever script that they have written out about how this is all going to be concluded. So Right on. Other folks do you have suggestions? Anybody else suggestions for this incident specifically?
Have you heard?
Yes, sir.
Greetings to you, Gus, and to the callers and the listeners. In a situation like that, to be honest, because even listening to the previous caller, he said he was out of work for over a year, but only got 6 months back pay. And what I find is that the system, even if you do have some modicum of success in some small fashion, what they do is you never get fully compensated. So the previous caller spent over a year trying to get his situation adjudicated, being unemployed for over a year, I should say, and trying to get his situation adjudicated. And then at the end, after that year, over that more than a year of being out of work, he only gets 6 months of pay. And these are just, to me, other ways that white people continue to sap your energy. So in my opinion, I wouldn't even go that route. I would just leave if I would look for something else in the interim and transition, because in a situation like that, you have these so-called Hispanics, and I don't use that term either. That actually means from the land of the rabbits, so I don't use that term at all. Or Latino, I'll just say so-called Latino, simply for the same reasons that you brought up, Gus, as well. But it seems to me like they're functioning in a way that white supremacists function, as far as just that systemic, holistic form of terrorism that you're experiencing. And for me personally, in a situation like that, I would literally start looking for a job intensely and make a transition, because to me it would be a great waste of your time and energy to put yourself in a situation where you might end up unemployed like the previous caller. You go through God knows how long, for them to adjudicate your case. I mean, Gus, you just talked about 12 years. Geez, that's freaking just incredible. And to come out of it with either nothing or with a situation where you're still underpaid at the end, to me, it's not worth it. To me, it would be more effective to really start looking for something else and try to transition from that situation into another employment situation. To me, this is the type of situation. I know Lily Fuller says that, you're going to jump from one racist situation into another, which I completely agree. But in a situation like that, that's so unbearable and is so systemically terroristic, I would just actually find a way to transition to another job and vacate the premises. That's my opinion. Thank you for taking my call. I do have some stuff, but I'll bring that up down the line and give other callers time to a chance to assist this caller. Thank you very much, Gus.
Appreciate that.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. To the listener, I suggest that. As the previous caller mentioned, the EEOC can yield some success. I would, if I were going the EEOC route, only use them to verify that there is a case to be listened to. I believe it's called certification. Once they certify that there is something worth investigating, you can just go ahead, collect the evidence that you have, and take that to a private attorney that will work on a contingency basis. From there, if the organization is large enough, they'll probably have funds set aside to deal with this situation in particular. So it can quickly go into a settlement phase, and then you can also quickly find out who are victims of white supremacy that work there by doing a quick search on LinkedIn or any other social network where people are listing where they work. So if you wanted to go the class action route, again, both of these routes require a lot of evidence to be collected. The EEOC requires that you have thorough documentation, recordings, emails, something specific. They'll even tell you over the phone when you call them that they need something very specific to prove discrimination. And it's a very specific few instances where you can say that this is based on race. And one thing that you can do is you can bring up numbers. So if a number of black people
have departed or were fired. That's very easy to prove if you can go ahead and get numbers and bring that evidence to them, get it certified that it's worth investigating, and then find a private practice attorney. And also, go ahead and look for new opportunities because from my experience and from what I've seen from other people in the workforce, an environment like that rarely ever remedies itself and will oftentimes intensify over time, especially after large sweeping management changes or, like the previous caller mentioned, a hurricane or something like that. So just go ahead, collect your evidence. Do not be discouraged by reports that getting your documentation and your ducks in a row yields no results. Oftentimes, that is a risk that we run when documenting and reporting, but documenting and reporting can help you if you do it correctly and if you back it up with private means. So do not rely on the government private practice attorney that is interested in getting as much money as possible. And if the organization is large enough, then yes, you can go ahead and get some of this money. I'll mute my line. Oh, and I have something to contribute later, but for now, thank you.
Grand.
May I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hello to you, Gus, the host, and to all the listeners of calls. The thing I want to say is I do agree with Ron's and the other guy is they probably just would do better just transitioning out, start looking for work. However, I will say this, now I don't care for the EEOC route. I just think that it's a joke, especially when it comes to us. If you study the EEOC, you see what Ronald Reagan did with it, and remember that Justice Clarence Thomas used to sit on the EEOC. So I just don't see it having anything much really for black people. I mean, unless we come with kind of like the Texaco case. If any callers on the line remember the black jelly beans, and remember they really had a smoking gun, and that's how they pretty much won that case. Where they basically had somebody literally hearing them say that. I mean, they really had a smoking gun, but we don't have that too often. This is a suggestion that this person might want to. Chances are wherever we live at, there is a college or colleges, universities that have law schools. And a lot of times you have law schools, you have third-year law students, and sometimes the law schools have a clinic. And my suggestion would be maybe you might want to call the law school if they have a clinic, see if you can go, if they could go over there and talk to somebody and explain their case and get some legal advice. Because, the third-year law clinics, but they are, supervised by lawyers and what have you, or either some bar associations within the city may have programs where they, you may pay a small fee and they could hook you up to talk with an attorney in the expertise, in this case, an employment attorney. Just that, to lay out the case and let the attorney give you some advice, as to whether it's because, if I'm mistaken, I think with employment cases, you have to go through EEOC anyway. So to me, that's almost kind of like a, something that they got in place really to protect the employers. But that would be my suggestion because, and I think one time listening to an interview that you did, Gus, with Mr. Fuller, and he said something about, 10,000 cases go through, and they'll let one black person case go through. Where 9,000 of the 10,000 cases could be black people. These are the type of games that they play. But my suggestion would be that, the major thing to me is just transition out. I just don't think it's worth it. These Latinos, they bring them in or they have bought them in, and so now they come in, with this thing that they're going to get to mess over black people. Let's just be honest with it. Many of them think they're honorary white anyway. But like I said, my suggestion is try a law school, and a university that has a law school, with the, that have attorneys or law clinics where they can go and see somebody and lay their case out and and get some advice, or either check the bar association to see if they have a program where they may be able to connect them with an attorney in the field that they need, and be able to talk to that attorney and just get some legal advice to see whether it's even worth pursuing. So just like you said, I remember hearing that program where you said there was a case with EEOC and 12 years, and they almost appear to me they trying to make sure everybody die out, and then it's like, well, the case is moot now and everybody's gone. So I remember that. So I just wanted, that's my suggestion, and I'll mute myself. Thank you for taking my call.
Just that Texaco case that was mentioned, this was from 1996. This is in the New York Times. They have an opinion piece about this case because it got a lot of attention. Racism at Texaco. Critics of affirmative action routinely argue, there it is again, affirmative action is just niggers. Critics of affirmative action routinely argue that the effort is no longer necessary because discrimination is now dead. Nothing disproves that theory as emphatically as the emerging scandal at Texaco, where senior executives have been caught on tape deriding minority employees in racist terms and plotting to destroy documents subpoenaed in a federal discrimination case. The tapes are excerpted in papers filed in federal district court in White Plains, where Texaco is based. The excerpts, reported this week by Kurt Eichenwald of The Times, come from a meeting held in August 1994, during which 3 senior executives discussed a class action lawsuit filed by black employees who charged that Texaco had discriminated against them and created a racially hostile atmosphere. The Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission essentially validated the suit, ruling that there was reason to believe Texaco guilty of company-wide racial bias. Transcripts of the August tapes leave little doubt about the atmosphere at the company. Senior executives, including Texaco's former treasurer Robert Ulrich, freely deride black employees as niggers, and they don't say N-word right on, and black jelly beans. Mr. Ulrich is quoted in the transcripts as belittling the interest of black employees in Kwanzaa, an Africanist celebration held in December. I'm still having trouble with Hanukkah, Mr. Ulrich said. Now we have Kwanzaa. The tapes were made by Richard A. Lundwall, a senior personal official at Texaco responsible for keeping minutes of the meetings, who made the tapes available to the plaintiffs after he was laid off. At several points on the tapes, the Texaco executives openly discuss destroying records to protect themselves in the discrimination case. Federal prosecutors in White Plains are investigating to determine whether the records were actually destroyed. I'm going to stop there. It goes on a little bit more, but just information. Sometimes people will make a casual reference to something that ended up being a big thing. And even this underscores the point. Now, if you have documentation, if you have tapes and transcripts of them calling black people niggers and black jelly beans on a regular basis and, talking trash about Kwanzaa, and even that takes years because this started in 94, this was written in 96 and was still being adjudicated. That's what I mean about, be honest. If we're investigating, like you could potentially be looking at something that's going to take up years of your life and still could end in a very in a manner that is still very dissatisfactory, and you're still not really being adequately compensated, like if you choose to go that route. Other folks, fascinating anecdote. I'll post this on the Facebook page if people want to read more. Anybody else have suggestions for the caller who wrote in?
Yes, can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Greetings, everyone. I didn't listen to a large part of the beginning, but correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I did hear something about a white person in a supervisory position that was not performing their task, their job task, and basically was in a forcible way was delegating it to others. Is that correct?
Essentially, yes, sir.
Okay. I think that with that factor, most jobs that I know of have to each particular position the responsibilities of each person. and somehow that person who's being negatively impacted by that person not doing their job should make a record of that particular employee who is maybe in the supervisor's position over them, and make a record of that. There's not what I've been listening to, and I agree with what I'm hearing. There's not too many different venues you can go through, and white people have an understanding of this, that there's not that many options for non-white black employees, especially, to be able to solve their problems on that particular job, and so they have an understanding of that. That's why they are able to be so comfortable in their negative disposition and their racist ways towards us on these jobs. It reminds me of as far as the EEOC is concerned, it reminds me of the situation that Chief Charles Phillips was talking about, that actually where the county manager turned on him because he refused to fire the 3 firefighters that he was speaking about, and in turn they came on him. But as far as the EEOC, those guys, they have a case that's probably still running right now, and that actually took place. That incident actually took place, as far as them getting suspended for almost a year. That took place in something like 9/11 was what year? What year was that? 9/11 took place. 2001. So just right. It was actually the 12th of September when the incident took place. So just think about how long ago that is. That particular what they had tried to attempt to do while they were being suspended. They went through some kind of legal procedures, and it still is pending, as far as I know. And at least one of the guys has already retired from the job. A close friend of mine, the same guy I was suggesting that it'd be a good idea you could interview him on your program. He's been retired now for about something like 2-3 years. And if I would call him tonight, he would tell me that it's some things that they have involved in that particular case still pending. And like I said, white people have an understanding of that because that's why they wanted Chief Phillips to fire them, from the idea that they would utilize all their resources just to try to get back on the job. And most people would give up because they don't have the resources to be able to fight like that from that standpoint. So it's one of those situations, as far as non-white people, especially non-white black people, even when they on the entry level of employment, always consider the fact of our global position and understand that, hey, I may be here today, but I may not be able to be here tomorrow, and be prepared for these other options. It's similar to what Mr. Ed Williams was saying. If you wait until you get in trouble before you study my pamphlet, then you're wasting your time. In other words, you have to be proactive. You have to be consistently proactive. Be aware that this is one of the products of racism, white supremacy. The war is being waged against us, and just gear yourself accordingly. That sort of thing. Unfortunately, a lot of us is not fully aware of that. But that's why programs like this are so important, that we talk about it and share, exchange views and understandings to help each other. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Appreciate that, retired firefighter. I just wanted to add quickly, if we, on a job situation, that's why I thought it was such an important suggestion that I read some months back, the recommendation when you go to a new job to research the company. Jobs research you. You should research them too. And I would submit, even if you didn't do this research when you started out, if you've been on the job, I wouldn't care if you've been there 2 weeks or 20 years, you can still do that now. Because racism, if you are a non-white person, especially if you are a black person, racism has been a problem for you on the job, and it is going to continue to be. So go ahead and do that research. Check out the place that you're working at. If they have branches in other locations, or they've been around for a while, for a number of years, see if there have been other incidents. You have a lot of resources online now where people can write, they can post about their experience and rate people, places that they've worked. They can rate them and they can talk about their experience. See if other people have worked there who have gone online and said anything about racism. You got people who have whole blogs where they talk about racism that they've experienced on the job. Check that out, because that can be added. That gives you much more evidence. This is not an isolated incident. It's not even just something that's impacting me. This is a site-wide problem. This is a company-wide problem within this organization. That just gives you more and more ammunition. Documentation, that's why I say that all the time. I would submit, even if you're looking at other employment opportunities, which I would encourage, even if you're doing that, you can use this time, and I've said this before, if you know you're going to leave a job, you can use that time to practice your codification as opposed to just slacking and saying, well, since I'm leaving, I don't have to be codified anymore. So, now I can come on the job and talk crazy and, do things that I won't. I would do the exact opposite. I would work on my code. I'm going to be going to another work situation, so I already want to be comfortable with how I want to operate with my code. It doesn't matter if these white people, oh my gosh, you've changed so much. You used to laugh and joke and you don't do that anymore. It doesn't matter, because you're going to be leaving soon. So it doesn't matter if they see something as odd and peculiar and start having questions. You're prepping for your next job. That way you'll already have some OJT with your counter-racist codification. The last thing I was going to get in, if people, all of us, if we could maybe kind of look for resources in specific areas, wherever you happen to be internationally, if you're in London, because we have people that are outside the states who listen to the workplace racism program. So if you can find resources, because sometimes they might have legal counsel that's available. Sometimes they have people who are very informed about workers' rights, where you can get information about that. If you choose, hey, I'm going to check out the EEOC. I'm not, banking that I'm going to make a whole lot of money, but I'm going to at least check it out and see what's available. Resources about that. Just finding resources for your specific location, because I know different states have different laws about work and what have you. But find resources for different regions. I think that would be great. I think we could really benefit from that. Different non-white people just kind of having things on tap. We can get help. Any last suggestions for the caller before people get to their own situations? Any last suggestions? Person who wrote in, rather. Assume folks are good. If people, if you think of something as we go along, a suggestion, then let us know. I'm sure she would appreciate it. I hope it didn't sound bleak. Well, the system of racism, white supremacy is bleak, so things are going to sound that way frequently. But in those type of situations where it's just such a flagrant disregard for correct behavior, and again, even the people that you're going to remedy this are the ones that, are a major part of the problem. It really constricts your options in terms of, what you can do, how you can deal with this. Folks,
hey, Gus.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to get one last thought in about the person who wrote in, and just to clarify my position. The reason I took the position of trying to transition out of that situation is because I believe organizations like the EEOC exist so that they can waste your time. So that's what I mean when I say that you'll expend massive amounts of time and energy to try and get back something that you'll never get equitably compensated for. And to me, that's what the system is designed to do, keep you as poor as possible, especially if you're in a situation where you're unemployed for as long as possible, make your life as miserable as possible during that process, and then at the end of it, either not compensate you at all or compensate you less than less than the energy you expended to try and get equitable justice in that situation. And to me, I don't think that sort of energy expenditure is worth the time. Maybe in a lawsuit is different, because with a lawsuit you can actually sue for an amount that's, equal to or more than what they may have taken from you in loss of wages. But outside of suing the company, I just think it's a waste of time, and it's designed specifically to do that and to make black people suffer for as long as possible to get basically either nothing at the end or less than what they should. Thank you.
Folks wanted to go ahead and share their own incidents, experience with workplace racism. If you're having problems, or if you have figured out some things that are working well for you, we can proceed. I'll give out the number again: 641-715-3640. The code is 564943#. Press *6 if you would like to participate. And remember, if you recall previous work experiences where something happened, racism was an issue, maybe you didn't even recognize it at the time, I think it's good to share those as well. Remember, we do have younger listeners who don't, have an extensive work history, so it's good for them in particular, and all of us, to kind of be able to see more of these patterns, and even you can reflect on, what you would have done differently, having the information that you do now. With that, other folks have commentary they want to share?
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll get mine over with pretty early. I have a couple of workplace observations. The first one would go back to how these racists, I was about to imply something expletive related, so I won't, but how these racists have been screwing around with my paycheck. I got an email from the human resources person, and I saved it. I actually sent a copy to my home email, explaining how they processed the checks over the last 2 pay periods where I was not properly compensated. What she sent made sense, but she also stated that they should be able to clear up any discrepancy with the following paycheck, which is supposed to be next week. So I'm going to see how that works out. And then if everything balances out, it'll be okay. If it doesn't, then I'll just have to keep putting pressure on these pale faces to make sure that they come correct, because I'm not playing with these devils at all. I'm just not playing with them. Next thing that was interesting was we had a meeting with the guy who's like the VP of our department. He's a guy who transitioned to our company from Apple, and I talked about that before, how he went on talking about meetings with Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine and how wonderful Apple was, and nobody cared about that because we've been being terrorized and abused by the white people who are the higher-ups in the company that keep making these racist decisions that keep affecting us, the people who do the daily work that really brings the company their money. And we questioned him. There were a lot, like I said, there were white people previously. I said there were white people who I'd never seen speak so passionately about being treated like niggers. So after that whole scenario took place, we found out maybe within over the past 2 weeks that they had a meeting after that with another group, because the group meeting that we went into specifically dealt with the teams that they have set up, which was something that they did where they have these concierge teams that take care of the members. I work for a healthcare company, and they basically kind of personalized the healthcare. And I was one of the people who helped to pilot that program before they released it throughout the company. But in addition to these teams, you also had the regular group of, member services people who just answer calls for people who are not on those teams. And they had a meeting with them after they had the meeting with us. The VP had this similar meeting with that group. And in that meeting, they basically alluded to us or spoke about us as if we were like troublemakers. And it kind of spread throughout the company that because of the way that the white folks went off on him, and the non-white folks basically explained what the company was doing to make the job just unpalatable for everyone. And basically it was just the whole idea that the vast majority of people who work on our floor are non-white people with some white people mixed in there, but the vast majority of them are non-white. And then the higher-ups in the company are mostly white people, quite a few anti-sexuals, and then there are a couple of like non-white people, but mostly from India or the Middle East or someplace like that. So it was just basically the way it was set up was that we were just troublemaking non-white people, and because we're on that floor that's that where we're all basically clustered together. So basically, the niggas are acting up was what was implied. So we ended up having a discussion in our team meeting about what was being implied after we had the meeting with the guy, and the supervisor just kind of clarified some of the information, because she said that the VP himself did not feel the way that the rumors that was being spread after that meeting had dictated. So we said, okay, once she gave her explanation, I don't believe anything white people say. So I'm like, yeah, you're a liar, but whatever. I'll take your lie for now. And ultimately, she went off from that after she explained what she felt was satisfactorily explained, that the VP didn't feel that way, but these rumors were coming from other people, and no one spoke specifically. Well, actually, a couple of people did speak specifically about people who they heard it from, but ultimately it looks like they didn't investigate it, which is what white people do to protect other whites. They won't follow through with anything. So to me, that wasn't such a big deal, because I said from day one they were all racist anyway, so it didn't really affect me in any way. But it was just something that I wanted to discuss because it came up and it was related to racism. So after the rumor situation came up, my supervisor started talking about rumors. And she was discussing how when a rumor is brought up, that you should use discernment and get clarification as to what really happened. And she used herself as an example, and she said, I've had rumors that I was pregnant spread around twice that I was pregnant, once that I was adopting a child. And it made me laugh, because she doesn't look like she's overweight, but what I noticed is that she wears pants that like pulls her stomach in. So if you catch her on the day when she's wearing her clothes tucked in, her stomach hangs over, so you can see that she kind of could look like she was pregnant. So I was just like, in my head, well, just lose weight, just lose some weight so that you don't look like you're pregnant, and maybe people won't imply that you're pregnant. And I just laughed at it, because you can see that she's uncomfortable the way she dresses, even though, like I said, if you just take a passing glance, you wouldn't think she was overweight, but she actually just has a gut. And that's my workplace racism observation, is she was trying to use herself as an example of why rumors, you have to be careful about rumors, and you should really vet them by trying to get clarification and then use discernment before spreading rumors, was what she was trying to say. But based on the racist experiences that I've had and other people have had in that company before, the fact that they alluded to the niggas acting up on the fifth floor just to me standard operating procedure with what I've dealt with in that company as it is. And it's just the way white people protect themselves. They will come to each other's rescue in ways that we're not always privy to and always consciously aware that they're doing. But just be aware that once they're racist, they're going to, like Gus said so accurately, form like Voltron to make sure that they protect the company's interests, which will be white supremacist interests. Thank you. And I'll mute my line.
For sure. Did they actually call you a troublemaker, or were they using terms to suggest that?
They were using terms to suggest that, basically that they made it like we were being unreasonable and we were just angry. And what they did not take into account was that everybody who's there, I've been there for about a year and about 8 months, 9 months. And the whole time I was there, we've been getting mistreated. So there were people who were let go for reasons that were unscrupulous. At one point, when they were trying to downsize the company, when they opened up the location in Arizona, they got rid of a bunch of people. And then also there were situations where they were not paying the sales reps properly. And I still have been talking to sales reps now that have left the company over a year ago that still haven't been properly compensated, that are even trying to facilitate that EEOC process to get properly compensated. Then next week, they're going to be letting go another group of people that they're giving severance to. But from what I understand, even with the severance situation, they've been playing games with some of the previous people that left and was supposed to get their severance as well. So they've been doing things on so many levels to so many different people that for them to even take that approach is just a way of blaming the victim. And that's what white people do best. They abuse you, then they turn around and they blame you for your suffering as a result of their abuse, So that's pretty much the long and short of it. Thank you.
Fascinating. Wow. That is standard as well. If you are a black person, and particularly if you're asking questions, correct questions, you're questioning white people, oh man, you're almost, a terrorist. We might have Osama bin Laden in the building. Who does this nigga think he is, asking us questions and acting like, he deserves adequate compensation? Like, Lord, what is, that's how I've been treated personally, and I've seen that happen over and over and over, particularly in work environments. Other folks who had commentary, either if you had comments on what we've already heard, or if you have your own situation, feel free. Rochester should be in the building as well.
Hello, this is Lady.
Your volume is a little low. If you could speak up, please.
Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So I was calling in because I have been hearing a lot about jobs being automated. I am looking to change careers from nursing to something else. I wanted to start in January, but I might wait till the summer to go back to school for a bachelor's degree. So very interested if anyone knows where I can find some accurate information on what type of careers may be automated in the future, in the near future, because I'm not finding very good things online, or I'm finding reports that are like 30-something pages that I have to download. So if anyone has any information on that, I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Oh, can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
All jobs are being automated. All jobs that can be done by a computer or a process that can be done through an index search can be automated, except for healthcare. Oddly enough, there is no robot that we have that can provide the services that a nurse's aide can provide. So that is one of the few sectors where we will require people for the foreseeable future. But even highly technical positions are slowly being automated. At best, the automation is only going to facilitate more human activity. Like you're going to be able to process more documents. You're going to be able to process more widgets or whatever it is that you produce at your job. But ultimately, that means that other people are going to be pushed out of the industry that you're in. Oddly enough, healthcare is one of the few places where automation is not going to eliminate so many jobs. Probably needed.
Gus, can I speak to the female caller that just talked to?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
No problem. It's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, in the field that I work in healthcare as well, but in insurance, you might want to try angellist.com. They basically deal with startup companies, and there's quite a few healthcare companies that actually utilize nurses' services to facilitate helping members get access to care or getting information from those nurses in regards to medical questions that they have, in which a nurse would have that information. So you might want to look into that, because there's quite a few startups that are in the health insurance industry, and they've been hiring nurses at quite a few of them, including the company that I currently work in. So I don't know if that might be an option for you. I just wanted to toss that out there. And again, it's Angel List. You should be able to put it in the search engine. Just put Angel List. You could probably put Angel List startup jobs, and it should be the first thing that comes up. And the logo is like a person putting up like the peace sign. Like it's like a drawing though, but that's the logo when you see it. And hopefully it'll be able to help you facilitate looking into something that might be better for you or better fit for you. Thank you.
Awesome. When I get the link, I'll post it on the Facebook page as well, so people can check it out. Other folks have either suggestions for Lady in New York, or I guess comment suggestions for her or any of the folks who called in previously, or if you have your own situation you want to address, feel free.
May I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Gus, to all the callers and the listeners. With regard to Lady's question, I too was, because of the situation that I'm in South Carolina now. Oh, this is the female caller from New York, and I'm here in South Carolina caring for my mother who's having her own health issues and helping my cousin to care for her mother who has Alzheimer's and her father who is in his 90s and frail as well. So I've had to get creative with making a couple of nickels. There is a website called Flex Jobs, FLEXJOBS, and they have many telecommuting jobs across the country that are available in many, many areas. So that's something that she may want to check out. So I'm calling partially because of the situation that I'm in. Like I said, I've had to get creative, but I do have to take my mother to many, many doctor's appointments. And one thing that I have noticed here in South Carolina at every doctor's office is that all of the black people who are working in these medical fields are at the front desk looking at computers, shoving files around, taking names and writing them down. But when it comes to handling the actual patients sitting in the doctor's office, these are all white women. All white women. So I've been I want to use the right word. I've been navigating that with temperance. But yesterday I took my mother to a consultation, and generally when you go to these places like this, and you know, I guess maybe since I don't have like, you know, a southern accent or what have you, they want to know what kind of nigger I am. So I was sitting in the office yesterday with my mom and white nurse suddenly, and I didn't say anything. My mom's sitting in the chair waiting for her examination, and the nurse is there, and she looks at me and she says, "Don't you just hate computers?" So I said, "No, I don't." And like I said, I think that they particularly want to hear or see what kind of nigger you are. So I guess when she, you know, she heard that, that was like the end of that, you know. So then I had to ask her a question about my mother's care, and she wasn't very nice about it. So I guess since I didn't like computers and I didn't warm up to her, quote unquote, the way she wanted me to, you know. But like I said, when it comes to handling the direct care with the patients, none of these professionals, and I've been to like so many hospital visits and so many consultations, and not only in my mother's area, outside of her area, and these are all white women. These are all white women that are getting these jobs. So like I said, I've had to get creative. So I'm using one of my natural skills that I have to make money, and that is doing natural hair. And I do that out of my home. So I have built up a clientele of black women. So here's my little entrepreneur issue. And I'm trying to work on this for 2017. Really, you know, really delicately. Most of the clients that I have who are black women with this awesome black natural hair are with or have children by, or both, white men. So I have to hear stories about these things, and you know, and I'm trying to think of questions to go into the question lane. Yeah, to go into the question lane with this, and not to, you know, to be sensitive and to not put them off in any way, or, you know, because these are my clients, and I really do care, and I really care about this. You know, like I'm like Umar Johnson. I got a special place in my heart for these children. You know, and they tell me these horrible stories about how they're with these white men, and how the mothers of the white men are treating them. And I don't think I don't really believe that they understand that they are being terrorized, not only by the mothers, but by these white men that they're with. So, like I said, I'm really trying to be sensitive and work on this for 2017 because it's kind of like all around me. Another way I have had to get creative was take a little position where I can make money out of my home through one of these agencies that takes orders for people. So I do that out of my home. So I call, I get these calls, and the other day, and this goes to what we've talked about on the cows about speaking white, talking white, and putting on your best white voice. And I think that we do that simply because we don't want to be terrorized. We know that we are victims of racism, and when we're on the phone with somebody and we are not speaking in this standard way that the society seeks us to speak, we can be further victimized. So I'm on the phone, and this man says, well, I tell you, honey, I'm just so glad I don't have one of them Indians on the phone. So I'm saying to myself in my head, no, you got a nigga who does a good job at imitating the King's English, So I just had to kind of laugh to myself in my head at that and just say, and just continue with the call. So I just wanted to relay that. And that's all I had. I'll mute my line.
Wow. I was snickering. That was a question I left on the table when Dr. Umar was with us earlier this year, and he said that about the soft spot he has in his heart for non-white children who have one white parent, even Obama. But I left that question on the table. Anywho, wow, that was such a litany of different sections of workplace racism. I guess the one that we ended with, although the care of your mom and other family members, that's A+ in Black self-respect, looking out for your older family members, mother and your father as well. Like, wow. But the everyone's favorite Area 8 situation, I don't know. That's kind of a tough one. I mean, my general rule, right, people who have heard me is, not to talk about racism on the job. And I've said that regardless, whether it's, you work around other white people or you work around other non-white people. So I don't know. I certainly, that might be two Black self-respects, worthy of two illustrations of Black self-respect and wanting to help these young ladies who are being terrorized and their offspring also being terrorized with these now racist in-laws that they have, or racist family members or whatever they are that are doing all of this. I don't know. It seems like one of those where it would be difficult to bring that up because it could certainly end up being disruptive from a business standpoint, where they could get upset. Well, I don't want to hear anymore if you're crazy race talk. I'm going to go get me someone to do my hair. Or I don't have to hear all your nutty counter-racist views. I could see that happening. I don't know. That is a tough one. If you did say stand in the question lane, so that certainly would be, if you're going to do it, that would definitely be the approach I would take. It would seem like it would depend. Unless I'm wrong, it would seem like, I don't know if you're looking for like just stock questions that you can ask, maybe one or two questions that you ask for these particular victims. But it would seem like it would also depend on what their situation is. It sounded like if some of them are complaining, or not complaining, but they're reporting this abuse and they don't know what to do about it, or is racism just coming up in some kind of way in the household or with these other members, it would seem like the question might vary a little bit depending on what they are, what their experience is, and how comfortable they're seeming with wanting to hear more dialogue about racism, even questions about racism. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but at least in one instance, what I'm seeing is that this client has a white parent. So that puts a whole nother dynamic into it. I think she has a white father. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she has a white father because her mother has natural hair, and her mother gets her hair done as well. So here's a situation where she just, she may have her own issues, and I think that from what she tells me, she suffers from her anti-blackness is just off the chain, particularly with black men. So I can definitely tell that the way she speaks to me about her other family members. In another instance, I just have, this client, I have several. I don't know, like, what is creative to sending them to me for some reason, I suppose. But, you know, she has these older white sugar daddies, you know, who give her money. You know, it's just one of these situations. So, and she's constantly telling me about them. And I have stayed in the question lane with her. Because as from a business prospect, I don't want to lose her as a client. So I have stayed in the question lane with her. And I just, you know, and I said to her one time, I said, you know, I always think about the way, you know, people, you know, our ancestors, I didn't use the word ancestors, I just said, you know, women back in slavery felt when, you know, they had white men violate them, you know. And she just kind of said, oh, that's true. Just carried on. So it is difficult, you know. It really is difficult. I'll mute my line.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
In my experience, people like that need to be charged to the game. My suggestion to deal with that situation that you're finding yourself in, it's to get more clients. Get more clients, continue to do their hair, listen to their stories, and if you're finding that it's negatively affecting your mental health, which might be the situation, it might be the situation that you're finding yourself in. It might be a compulsion to alleviate yourself of the mental strain that it takes to hear some of these stories. You might want to suggest that you guys listen to iPods or something, just something to change the topic. You might want to bring up the weather. That is a really good topic that people can talk about for an extended period of time. You can switch the topic to local attractions, but if you're being harmed by listening to these stories of incorrect behavior or incorrect attitudes being expressed, just do your best to change the topic of discussion so that you can go ahead and do your job and get the help that these people need through their hair and get your money and being on your way. I'll mute my line. Thank you.
Thank you for that advice. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, just wanted to chime in on the female caller and what she is presenting to the program. The first subject is with the advent of her assisting her, I believe, her mother through the medical process. I'm in a similar situation, except for my younger sister is a primary person that does it, and I kind of like work as her substitute when she's have to work. And I observe the same things that she has mentioned on the program, as far as the people who actually have their hands on non-white patients. It's primarily white females, and just like she mentioned, the comment that the white lady brought up, I itemize it as a feeler, just like what white people do when they stick their hand out to see if you want to shake their hand. They would bring up idle conversation to kind of like see where you at. Now, in my response would be nothing at all to that particular comment that she made. It'd probably be nothing at all, or I would utilize an inaudible grunt like or something like that, that sort of thing, and keep it moving, so to speak, unless she projects something direct to me in a clarified manner, I probably wouldn't even answer whatever that question is. And if that white person kind of like pushes it, I basically would say, I beg your pardon, but I'm just here, ma'am, to make sure that my mother stays in the most healthiest situation as possible, and we're asking for your assistance in that process. Something like that, so to speak, and keep it pushing as far as they're concerned. But she is absolutely correct within that app, because I've seen the same things that she's talking about. I think it's a very potentially constructive venue that she's involved in, as far as assisting ladies with their hair and natural hairstyles. It could be. Now you have to be careful, but it could be a very constructive environment as far as exchanging of views and understanding, because right there, from the advent of constructing one's hair in its natural style, is something that is very constructive and positive. But you still have to be careful on the type of conversation that you involve yourself in, because it is in the workplace. Primarily it's called your own workplace, that sort of thing like that. But nevertheless, it is in the workplace, and you never know on who's sitting in that chair and what their particular attitude is, that sort of thing. But it is a potential very good environment to be in, to exchange views, which is one of the 4 things that we should be doing amongst ourselves anyway. And those are just my observations. I have my own workplace racism. I'll just put it in before the show is over with. Thank you.
Can I also can I just heard real quick? There's something that was nagging, that's been nagging at me. That was an earlier comment made, and it kind of goes with the experiences that I'm hearing about people having in these medical situations. I have several people that are close to me are in the medical profession, and a few of those people are nurses. These are BSNs, RNs. I have a nurse practitioner in my family as well. And one thing that they really have expressed is reflected in the industry is that they really discourage non-white black people from getting their degrees. So the caller earlier that mentioned that she wanted to get out of the medical field, a lot of these problems that we're hearing about can be helped by having a black presence in these situations at a higher level. So if you are interested in escaping this automation trap, or kind of riding the wave, as it were, and you are interested in getting your degree, I encourage you to emphatically go into nursing. There's a shortage of nurses overall, and there's definitely a shortage of black nurses, and there's a shortage of black nurses at higher levels. And this goes for black people that are studying to be doctors as well. I have a friend, she is currently in medical school, and every step of the way I'm hearing report after report of very racist activity designed to steer her away from getting her MD. And I've encouraged her to not look back and go through the whole way. So the previous caller, please, look into going deeper into this medical field. And to everybody that's having this problem, if you have people in your family that are looking for places where the employment crunch isn't going to affect them, or the automation changes aren't going to affect them so harshly, suggest the medical field to them. And I'll mute my line. Thank you.
One of our listeners, she wrote in, meant to share her commentary as well. She said, this person actually has been writing in for a while. She's written in from Wisconsin. I think if people remember correctly, she had the situation where it was a race soldier on her job. He was making like sexually lewd comments repeatedly, both to her and other victims of racism on the job. She reported that. Eventually, they terminated her. They said that I think it was something really technical, like she had either forgot to punch out or something, where they cited some rule that said, oh yeah, you violated this rule, so we have to let you go. So she was writing in to give us follow-up. She says, since my departure from my last place of employment in August, I've been applying for jobs and thinking about what I can do to sustain myself. After my last work experience, I have anxiety about having to work with white people. I wanted to do something from home like children, but didn't want to deal with being licensed and having people I don't know come into my home. An opportunity for me to care for a child I already know started this week. This is ideal for me now. Now I am thinking about other things I can do from home. This is my experience of trying to avoid workplace racism. Certainly, I guess I would phrase it minimize, because exactly as she stated, they had a big article in the Seattle Times. I played it. This was before workplace racism had a whole program to itself. This was on the compensatory call-in. But it was right here in Washington State. There were black females, and they had their own businesses. I think it was a hair care business. They had their own businesses. They were making money to take care of their children, blah, blah, blah. And white people came in and said, we're not going to allow you to do that. You got to have, this license or this certification, and you got to pay us this amount of money for us to give you the paper to allow you to do this. And it, for whatever reason, for some of these victims, black females, they were having difficulty getting whatever the paperwork that they needed from whites. So even figuring out trying to do something in your house, these are just things to minimize how we experience racism, white supremacy, to make it something where it's easier for us to deal with, and you can put easier in quotes. But that's what she shared. I think our caller in Michigan, she had talked about that before, kind of working on that database of different things, possibilities where non-white people can do things from home, where you don't necessarily have to be in an environment where you're around other victims or around other race soldiers. I'll stop there. Folks have anyone that we have not heard from, you should definitely speak up. If you have commentary from some of the incidents that we've heard thus far, or if you have your own incident you would like to share, feel free.
May I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings. Can you hear me?
I heard both of you. Let's get 4243.
Hello. Thank you for taking the call, and hello, everyone. I actually just wanted to, I have a couple of instances of my own. And then also I just wanted to mention about the whole working from home thing. I actually currently work from home, and I'm still going through stresses, even working from home, because it just seems like, they can just get to you no matter where you are. One of the instances that I'm having to deal with is the fact that my manager, he isn't quite as knowledgeable with my job duties, and I've, in the past, when I wasn't as codified as I am now, or I've been trying to be, I've gone to his superiors, and they're like, oh, we'll just give him more time. And then I even asked, because it seemed like it wasn't getting any better after I let some time go by. This is several months. And then I asked, okay, well, can I just go above his head again? And I'm like, okay, well, can I just go somewhere else? I'm like, I don't feel like this is a good fit for me. They're like, oh no, this is a good fit for you. And these are, of course, are white people. So I just kind of started to get more frustrated and more frustrated because, it doesn't seem to be getting better. And even within this past several months, Now, mind you, they said, just give him some time to learn and everything should be fine. Like in the beginning, he's supposed to be kind of like reviewing my work, auditing my work, but I actually had to tell him how to audit my work and walk him through. Basically, I guess we don't want to use analogies, but, just really having to tell him, okay, well, if I did something wrong, okay, well, I did technically do this wrong. This is what should have been done. Basically doing that. Not that long ago, like if I would have a question, I used to, because I started to get mad, and I would send him a question, and he would, and and it was an open-ended question. I felt like, you know what, you are my superior. I shouldn't have to give you the answer. And so he basically one day said, if you're going to send me a question, you also need to send me basically like a multiple choice as far as what he should be able to pick from. So I thought that was ridiculous because, I'm dealing with a lot of different things, and if I'm only asking you a question every now and again, you should be able to answer that one question, that one open-ended question, without me giving you options to do so. And the other thing that has been happening lately is that since I have been having to do so many different things, he has been questioning me about doing all these different claims. He'll say, hey, can you get these things done by noon? He'll tell me this at probably like 8 or 9 o'clock, and then by 11 o'clock rolls around, he's like, oh, well, I got some other people to do your work, and I need you to do something else. So it's definitely unorganized. And so I'm extremely frustrated, and I'm finally starting to thinking about going to a different job because I've been here for a few years, and even thinking about going back to school. But that's all I had. Thank you for listening. I'll mute my line.
Wow. The incompetent race soldier on the job, that also has been a common element, I think, certainly it's rife throughout the system of white supremacy, but just more recently on workplace racism, we've been having more people call in with that sort of situation, although that is a whole new level where you actually are having to coach him on how to edit your work. That is, I'm not really sure what to say about that. Like you're doing two people's jobs at that point, which I think that's the experience that many black people have been in for centuries under the system of white supremacy. I think that's excellent that you're looking for other employment opportunities, not that you might not necessarily run into a similar situation because you just have lots of whites who are in these positions where that's the system of white supremacy. They are not competent or qualified for that position, but nobody has the power to stop them from doing it. So there things are. Going back to school, I think that's great as well. I think you were talking about that. More education for non-white people. I know Dr. Welsing would certainly support and encourage that, and appreciate the feedback on your experience working in your own house and how racism, white supremacy can continue to be a big problem even when you're working from home, as they say. I wanted to get Lashes in as well, and then if folks have commentary, we can get that also. Lashes, you're still with us?
Hi, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Recently, I've been working a lot on a major TV show, and one of the veteran white female particular role within the industry told the manager who was looking to bring me on for a couple of days. She told the manager that, you don't want to bring her on. She's new. She hasn't been in the union for so long. You may want to try somebody else. So they ended up booking someone else. But somehow the word got back to me what this veteran white female said about me behind my back, even though she knows nothing about me. So it got back to me, found out what was said. Somehow I was able to still get on to this particular show and learn that this white woman, veteran woman, was asked not to come back. So pretty much karma intervened and removed her. And this particular show kept calling me to come back to work with them on various episodes. So that's one, I guess you could say, workplace racism situation I've experienced, since I am always the only Black person on set half the time. And I hold a covenant role in this industry. So seeing a Black female in this role that I have is can be quite rare. That's all.
Congratulations. That is fortuitous all the way around, to get called back and to have the white woman to get the axe from the production. That is awesome. Did you get any details about how all that transpired, or you just know the end result and that's that?
What I was told by other crew members, they were happy to work with me and not happy to work with her. And working with this white woman veteran, she made their lives a living hell in all departments in production.
Wow. Is most of the crew predominantly white, non-white? Like, what's the?
They're predominantly white.
Predominantly white.
White males, to be exact.
Okay. Fascinating. That'll be one to let us know how all of that evolves. But that is spectacular. That is a rare win. We certainly want to always hear about those. If you get a dub, if it works out however it works out, where things roll in your favor, that's always good to hear. And maybe we can try to figure out some things and replicate that happening. But that is outstanding.
Thank you. Working on this particular show is fun. However, I always treat this show as if it's my first and my last every time I go in. So I don't get comfortable.
Good attitude. I hope all of us have that perspective, and I mean like everybody, President Obama, everybody. That's the exact attitude we should have, because it for sure could end up being that way. It does for a lot of us, that you come in tomorrow and it's, look here, nigga, this is your last day. We got your cardboard box and get rolling. That's the world that we live in. So just being honest about that and not getting too excited about things working out. Well, I think Mr. Fuller says that all the time. Just be prepared, because something is on the horizon for you under the system of white supremacy.
Yep.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, excellent understanding and philosophy. Here today, you could be gone tomorrow. That's the system of racism, white supremacy. I wanted to ask a question. I heard the female caller using describing the white person as white, I believe, white female veteran. Does that mean that she was in the military, quote unquote, U.S. Army?
She's a veteran in this particular, job description, and she's worked on major Hollywood blockbuster films and TV shows. So
okay. So
yeah, she's a veteran in the industry in this particular role that I hold.
Oh, okay.
So she's just working me because she has more years over me.
Okay, I understand now. Okay, you in other words, you were using it for her quote unquote experiences in that industry, not necessarily, because sometimes, the term veteran is used for someone who was in the military in some kind of particular way. Yeah. Okay.
Even though historically speaking, U.S. veterans have worked in the film and TV industry for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Normally, people like that, even from the aspect that you were identifying, veteran, they're gonna make sure they let anybody know that I know something, or at least perceivably, I know some things that you don't know. They're very bossy, from that standpoint, in their attitude, and I developed over 28 years on that job a asshole meter on when I see one, and 99.99% of those people were white that were kind of like bossy like that, and that's always it's a very uncomfortable atmosphere to be in, when you're around that type of person, especially when it's a white person. It's like a double whammy in a large sense. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I also had another experience with a producer of a very well-known TV show as well. She made my life a living hell on this entire episode I handle on my own. Come to find out, she ended up with cancer. She is no longer on the show at the moment, but she's trying to come back. So there go karma stepping in on my behalf again.
Wow. Hopefully she will not return. They'll move on and do whatever else she'll need treatment on another part of the world. So won't have to deal with her anymore either. Other folks, if we have not heard from you at all, you should definitely speak up. Make sure we do not have, stragglers and people just hanging out, wait till the last minute and decide that they want to speak. So if we have not heard from you, and you either have a comment, if you have your own situation that you want to share, if you have a question, the number is 641-715-3640. The code is 564943 #. Press star 6 if you would like to participate. Anyone that we have not heard from at all who had commentary they wanted to share, chime in. Your volume is a little low. If you could speak up, sir.
Can you hear me, Gus?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. As far as, I think you asked the question about, was there a time in the past where we wouldn't have noticed an act of racism on the job? I couldn't really think of anything necessarily. I mean, I know I was greeted by my supervisor that hired me saying that this is a white man's handshake, and another white person said that no, that's an old man's handshake, and that was about it. I can't think of any other time. I know the term Florida cracker was used, and like he was calling people redneck, other white people redneck, but I can't really remember anything that I would have been, I guess, confused by. But I did have some recent incidents that have occurred. The first one was I was in the break room, and I heard like this segment came on from the news, and it was earlier this week, and I think it was saying something about Bill Clinton made a statement about Donald Trump knows how to get angry white men to vote for him. And then I asked a question, and I said, what did it say about angry white men? And they kind of like started turning red. So, the same white females that was sitting there, they was talking about going to the gym, and one of them was saying how some black guys was, I guess, trying to flirt with her, or quote unquote, what they call hitting on her. And she basically said that, she has like a pattern of doing this, like a frequent pattern, consistent pattern, where she'll look, my way and say, no offense to you, insert my name. And she says, well, fit black guys are like Asian guys. They all look the same. They all look the same. And, she ain't really go into elaborating on that. She didn't expound on that. And that was all I remember from that one. The second one was, this was, I believe, yesterday. And I take the place of a black female when she goes to lunch. So, I help with the customer service and research. And some white people came in with Santa Claus hats, it was a white male or a white man with 3 white children. No, it was two white children. It looked like it was a 8-year-old, and it was like a 4 or 5-year-old. So they were saying, you know, hey, just pick out something from out of the basket, you know, just, you know, Merry Christmas and this and that. So I'm trying to get them, you know, pretty much out of there because I didn't really want to deal with all of that. I was trying to get back to helping out customers. So I ended up choosing some kind of, it was a toy, something about some kind of spinner paint or something, you know, where children play on the sidewalk. So he brought this up to me and the other white female. And as I was getting one, because I chose one for the other black female, she had some children. So, like, when I was trying to get my gift, the youngest white male child, he pulled out these handcuffs, right? And he kept trying to get me to get the handcuffs, something that the police use, okay? And the oldest white child was saying, well, you know, we can give them to the cops. And the the white man was saying, well, you know, don't just let him pick it. He just kept looking at, well, he'll take the handcuffs. He'll take the handcuffs, you know. And, you know, it's just very astonishing that he was trying to pretty much entice me to get and choose the handcuff toys. So I ended up getting some kind of, I guess, pen or something like that, just to write with. I guess something a little constructive. And, you know, so they pretty much walked out and went on their way. And so my next incident was I was walking through the office, and there was 2 examples of this where there's a pattern where if you don't really respond, like as far as doing something about it, as far as like codification, the silence is pretty effective, because for this first incident, this first out of 2 was this white woman. She says, "Oh, well, you've been a busy little boy. You've been a busy little boy." So, you know, I walk out the door, and as I was opening the door, she says, "Well, you know, that didn't come out right. That didn't come out right." And I mean, you're a busy man. So nobody really said anything. It was just solid silence. And she apologized. She said, "I'm sorry." And like another example of this, where you don't really respond, they'll start to kind of backtrack. I guess that's the term I can use. There was a customer that called back that said they didn't get the copy of their marriage license, and went to an address down toward like Dade County or something down here in Florida, and she took the new address down there and wrote it on a request form, and she says, "Well, that's the new address that they can go to somewhere down there in the ghetto." And she said, "Oh, I'm just kidding." So I think you're on point and very accurate when you say they can't claim ignorance, because it's too methodical and strategic when they're thinking these acts of racism, and they manifest. And that's pretty much all I have right now. Thank you, sir.
Wow. Interesting tidbits for the week. The comments, I guess the first one where the white female, where she was saying, no offense, but all the fit, if you're a fit black person, all fit black people look alike, just like all Asians. That seemed like a double whammy, where it wasn't just a racist comment about one group of non-white people, like she got the 2 for 1, which, again, in my view, that is further evidence they're not ignorant about racism. You can't even just make one racist comment at a time. You got to get my efficiency in, get 2 for the price of 1. And then I guess let's see, the last one where not saying anything. I have stated that consistently. That's something that I employ regularly. Number one, they do not see any of us. We are not men and women. That's why I say males, black females, because you cannot be a man, woman under the system of white supremacy, and that comes up all the time. I've heard that come up a lot of times in the work context, where whites are doing the same thing. They're referring to black employees as boys or girls or whatever it is, not men and women. That's standard operating procedure. I think even some of that tone, even if it was not stated explicitly, came through in the Texaco report that I read from a while back. What was the second? The toys. Yes, the little racist man, racist woman, racist child. That early, he already knows. Niggers, handcuffs. Yes, that's supposed to go to. Yes, get the handcuffs, niggers. That's what it's supposed to be. He's already got it together. And again, white people are not ignorant about racism, even the little folks. Unless folks had a question or comment, anything they need to get in. Grand. Any folks that we missed completely? Anybody that we haven't heard from at all?
All right, can I be heard real quick?
Yes, sir. Just let me double check. Anybody we have not heard from at all? Anybody who has not had an opportunity to share?
Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings, beautiful people. This is 1842. Everything is pretty much the same over on my plantation, but I am trying out a new codification. I've always talked about racism at work. I was uncodified when I did it. And then I backpedaled recently as I became a little bit more clear, because the things I was saying was, I think, a little bit more offensive, because I was just more clear about it. But anyway, I still want to do it, still talk with as many people as I can, even if it's just to drop names, like figure out how to get in Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. I think that's important. Like, just get it in there, and then you look her up. Like, I've given you the best I can give you, despite whatever I may say. So I had an opportunity with a security officer who's usually an overnight person, and she was in the building. And so we spoke for a little bit, and racism came up. And I dropped Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's name. I focused on the definition, asked her definition. We talked, and then I just made sure that the focus. Okay. Backing up just quickly. So apparently there's a concert happening in Atlanta, and I think R. Kelly is like a featured artist in this concert, and there must be some kind of backlash to it. Forgive me if I'm ignorant about it, but this is just what I've heard. So there is a female that works in the building. She's not a coworker of mine. She just works in the building, and she is biracial, non-white, of course, but she was adopted by white parents. Now, I've paid very close attention to this woman over the past 2 years and some change, because she will behave very quote-unquote pro-black, but be very anti-black. But you can't tell it because it's masked with this pseudo pro-black facade. For instance, like having her curly natural hair, or wearing a T-shirt that's like, Black Power Fist, or, little things like this. But when you listen to what she's praising or what she's like, her opinions, it's very anti-black. Victim, BGQ, we're all confused, whatever. But I've just been paying attention, especially because I know that she was raised, like, adopted by all white, like, you know what I'm saying? So she went to school with white people, like, she's white identified. She just is biracial, so she gets in. Like, I think she's used that to be a way to fit in, or a way to like make herself a little different but still fit in. I don't know. It's interesting. So anyway, and I'm also leaving, so my patience, as I keep saying every time I call in, has gotten very thin. And in a way of practice, part of my codification is also just kind of raising my Black self-esteem as I get ready to transition. So not being afraid to just do certain things, of course, be as codified as I can, but also without sacrificing myself in the process. So she comes and she just loves to, talk a whole lot. So this is at the same time I'm talking with the security officer, and, we've just talked about a definition of racism. We just talked about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. I'm saying pay attention to these white people, study white people, study white people, study white people. Like, that's all I can say. Look at them, watch them, look at them, watch them. She comes and she begins to talk with us, And somehow this concert in Atlanta with R. Kelly gets up. And I'm real frustrated because she just immediately gets into, well, everyone wants R. Kelly to not participate in the concert. There's some black woman got upset that R. Kelly is headlining and has started a petition to get him removed. And I was like, well, you know, I'm not condoning his behavior or what he did or what he allegedly did, like, whatever. But, like, don't talk to me about R. Kelly if you're not going to talk about all the other white people or all white people who've been doing, huh?
I think she was giving like an amen.
I'm sorry.
That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. You guys, every call,
I'm sorry.
I apologize. I promise. If this happens next weekend, I'm privy. I'm not gonna. Anyway, so I was like, don't talk to me, you know, about R. Kelly if you're not going to talk about all these white people who are doing all these sexually depraved things to non-white people all over the place. You know, so no, I'm not doing it. And then for some reason, it brought up Bill Cosby, it brought up Nate Parker, you know, because that Seventh Heaven, that white father from Seventh Heaven admitted he was molesting kids on tape. And they still played his shows, and we never talked about him. Every time you talk about rape now, it's Bill Cosby's face or Nate Parker. So I was like, that doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Boycott all of them. Like, why y'all coming at R. Kelly? We're all victims. Like, this is pretty much like what I'm saying. And nobody else is in the lobby. So it's just me. I'm black. The security officer, black, and this female who is non-white, biracial. And so anyway, it just frustrated me. And so I walked away. I was just like, enough. I walked away, helped somebody do something real quick. And then I came back and she was gone. When she came in, she didn't want to speak to me and she felt all kind of funny. But I was like, whatever. I'm leaving. I don't exist to please you. Whatever. She goes upstairs. Like, she doesn't even look my way. And I was like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you are pro-black, there should be nothing wrong with saying, look at white people. But if you're so white identified and you just have that white is right, every time somebody says something in defense of black people, you get offended. That doesn't make any sense. If you identify as being black like you act like you do, there should be no problem. So anyway, next. So back to the security officer who's now like, yo, that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, you know, we do spend a lot of time berating each other, you know, down-talking each other. And that's right. Like, what happened is, you know, she's getting all like that. Another black woman comes in. And she happens to like overhear a little bit. Like, I don't stop talking because I know her. I was like, whatever. So she comes and she's like, she joins the conversation. She's like, and she begins to express how she feels too. And she's like, yeah, we're not about to sit up here and just belittle black people all day long. We can just, you know what I mean? Like, do that forever. What did Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. called it? Black people's favorite pastime or something like that. Like a pastime enjoyed by all or something. I could be misquoting. But so, you know, she's like, yeah, and she chimes in, and then I have to walk her. She needed my help, so I help her a little bit. And she's like, yeah, you know, I'm happy to hear young people talking about this, and that's how I feel like even the homeless people, because people I'm like downtown, so I see a lot of homeless people, most of whom are black. And it's very sad because it's like, it's almost creepy. There's all this money in this area, but there are people who are literally in rags, hungry, like screaming on the corners of the street, and everyone is walking past them as if they do not exist. And it's like, it's like startling. So anyway, the focus of the story is this female security officer. So I finally finish helping her. I come back to the female security officer. Pay attention to the white people. Pay attention to the white people. Make sure you understand racism. Have a definition. Like, just these are my codified things. I'm not going and talking about, you know, a whole lot of other things, like just these codified things that I'm trying to share with her. So she comes in today. And I was telling her how white people like to monitor, like, you know, just putting her on to a couple of things to pay attention to as she's around all these white people. And she's pretty privy. Like, she was like, yeah, and I wondered about that. But sometimes it's the definition that you need. It's a little bit of clarity, and all of a sudden it all makes so much sense, which is why I love and appreciate, well, I guess I can't use love. That's like not a codified word. Why I very much appreciate and value and respect the cows, Gus and everyone who's participated. So, but anyway, and so she's a security officer. She has like a uniform. We're standing in the front. We're just greeting and doing our thing. I didn't know her account manager's in. White man with the property manager, new white terrorist that's down there with me and downstairs. And then her black, he's a black guy, but he's like a middleman. So they all come in, and it's 3:00. So she's leaving, and she's unbuckling her little like fake tie that they have or whatever. And the white, like, overseer looks and cuts her a look I mean, he squints his eyes, like he even turns red. And her site supervisor, who's on with us, claims to be Ethiopian, but he's really just like a Mexican Pakistani, but he grew up in Ethiopia, but whatever. So he's non-white is the point. And then he looks up at him like, you better get this nigga in check. You know what I mean? And then he like, is like, this is all nonverbal. And the only voice you hear is him. He says, but she gets off. Like, it was so intense that like all he could do was say, she's off though. And then all of a sudden he just looked and then like looked back and was, you know what I mean? It was like this crazy thing. So she gets off and she's like in her skin. Like she's tossing, not here, not now. And like, I'm not even looking at her because they're still looking at us, but she can hear me, but they can't. And I'm just like, get your stuff. You good. You know, she gets her stuff and I'm like, well, I'll just go outside with you real quick. And she lets loose. She's like, oh my God, see, these white people, how they just stand like, what's wrong? He should know I get off at 3. What? He gonna walk in the building? She's going, I'm like, I understand, but study white people, understand the dynamic of the situation, study, you know, pay attention, watch them. This is the dynamic. She's like, da, 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 da. And then, you know, I'll just be like, but you're black. But you're black. Like, it's hard. It's like, we know we're black, but we don't get that we're black and what it means to be black, and what it means to be white. But anyway, I do apologize about that. But so anyway, it was successful is the end. And I'm very happy because I'm getting ready to leave. I've been terrorized by these people enough, and I'm going to drop as many gems as I possibly can, even if it's just the definition of racism and Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's, just her name, and study white people. I'm going to give it to as many non-white people as I can in this building before I dip. And she seemed very receptive. It could bite me in the butt later, but I won't be here, so I won't care. But it was amazing to see her be like, and you know what? Yeah, that makes total sense. Like, white people. I'm like, yes, the problem is white people. Not you, baby. Not you. But it was good. So hopefully I see her and we'll do that again. But thank you very much for taking my call.
Interesting. Is there an individual classified as white present who is not part of the problem?
Not in my mind.
Oh, okay. When you said not you, I didn't know if there was a extra special white person present who making sure he was excluded from that indictment. But right on.
No, I was saying to her, just to clarify.
Oh, right.
You know, I'm saying it's not you, it's them. Not
Got
you,
it.
it's these white people.
Got it. Now I'm straight.
Okay.
Now I'm straight. That's an interesting strategy, that if you know you're going to leave and you work around other victims of racism to try, you know, at least drop a few hints before you leave. That's one to think about. Other people have to, if you're interested, share a thought, you know, if that's how risky you would consider that to be, and if that's a risk you'd be willing to take. If there's some black people there, would you be willing to, you know, hey, maybe check out Marimba Ani, check out Yurugu, or, you know, leave a book title or article or what have you before you leave. That's, at minimum, black self-respect. I dig the attempt. Go ahead.
Can I be heard? Yeah, I've done the same exact thing at a previous job, and I don't know if it's just a result of all the things that have transpired in the news, or if I had a direct impact on this person's thinking, but from what I can tell, this person is much more codified now than when he was when I spoke with that person at my previous job. And he has since had success at this previous location. So he hasn't been harmed by the knowledge or by this revelation yet. And also, he took some of the information that I gave to him regarding the compensation of some of his colleagues to his superiors, and he was able to negotiate a higher salary. So I've definitely used that technique. When you know that you're about to depart from a position, you can go ahead and impart some knowledge on some fellow victims in a more direct and more explicit manner than you would otherwise.
That is spectacular. Yes, we can hear you as well.
Yeah, that's something that I've done before, but you know, I've vet people, but I've done it while I work there. Matter of fact, today there's a security guard, a black male security guard that works in my building, and I've discussed the cows with him. We've talked about racism before. He's a definitely less confused black male, and I given him recently a podcast of a show that I was a guest on recently, and he actually talked to me this morning when I came into work and told me that he found it extremely constructive, and he said essentially like just the concepts that I laid out made a lot of sense to him, and it was, you know, we've talked before, so he's familiar with some of the, you know, some of my codes and things like that, and we just got into a more intricate discussion this morning, and it was just great to see his response. And then there's another security guard who is Ghanaian, and I also told him about the cows as well, and I also sent him the same program, and he just his response was overwhelming, because he said that it's so great to see an American African who understands first myself as far as my history, and then my ability to convey my understanding of white people. He just was totally taken aback with that, and his response was really, really positive. So definitely that's something that I employ. I think for a lot of people, if you get that opportunity to, or you choose to do that as part of your code, when people are receptive and they start to really see what you're talking about in a way that's just really, really comprehensive and constructive, it shifts their consciousness, and you can sometimes see it on the spot. You can kind of just see the look on their face. And then from there, the things that they say kind of lets you know that you've actually opened up something in them as far as their perception. And then usually they become so much more interested, they'll come to you first. And I've had that happen quite a bit too. So definitely that's a part of my code. And again, I vet people first. So it's not like I'm just willy-nilly running around talking about racism with every, you know, non-white person or black person I see. It's more or less people who I might have had conversations, and they might have brought up certain things, and I might not have really said anything to those situations earlier on per se, because I was just feeling the person out. And then once, you know, we've established some sort of rudimentary conversation in that direction, then I'll just continue to feel them out for a while before, you know, I really get into anything with them, if I really feel like they're a person who I can invest that kind of time and energy into. And I haven't had an adverse experience with that yet. I know some people have. I know Gus has talked about his code of not doing so. I totally understand that. But for me, I haven't had a negative experience yet. So I think my vetting process has worked for me pretty well. Thank you. And I'll mute my line.
This is Lashes. Just to build off real quick what the guy just said, who just spoke, I noticed that I have a better time talking about racism, white supremacy with black males than I would do with a black female, and I don't know what that is. I noticed that with black females, if you try to talk to them about it, they're kind of like stuck, like really defensive in a way. But with black men, they're more receptive to listen and hear you out versus be defensive or combat you in a different way. That's just been my experience.
It's probably the lashes.
Oh. Can you be heard really quick?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear the caller. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay. I think just really quickly to say what I think it might be about women in a succinct way. You know, there's a lot of insecurity in being non-white and being black, and it can come like people. You know, we all have voids and, you know, insecurities that we have. And so someone coming, even if it's intelligence, like something that we haven't thought about or whatever, we might be less inclined to listen to that person. Don't be pretty. Like, you know, we just have a lot of insecurities. We have a lot of things that we get to work out. So it's hard to hear somebody because you're constantly faced with, you know, what you don't like about somebody, which is very self-hating. And black males, you know, will listen to a black female. It's just easier. Like sometimes I think black males have a hard time hearing other black males just because there's that insecurity or that jealousy or that self-hate, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But, and I've been trying to talk about racism with people forever, and it has not been as successful as I would have liked to tell myself. what I am learning now, and it could just be me, like maybe it's just something about me, but what I say is none of what I'm saying did 1842 create. I didn't think it. I'm not some genius. I just happen to stumble upon it, and I'm all about it, and I want to share it. That's why I say Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. That's why I say the cows. That's why I say books names. Like, just look at me more like, oh, okay. Well, I can use a metaphor here. Johnny Appleseed. Like, I'm just spreading the word, but it's not me. But because if people think that I'm sitting here, like, spewing all this stuff, like I'm smarter than them, they're less inclined to want to listen. But if they think like, oh, this is just so it's like I'm sharing music or something like that, like, oh, I found something cool and I'm sharing it, they're more likely to listen. So I never, like, I'm a nobody. Nobody knows who I am, what I'm doing. It does not matter. But Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, on the other hand, I'm just saying you might want to check her out. You know, Gus T Renegade and the Cows, I'm just saying you might want to check them out. This book, you might want to read it like, hey, I didn't write it. I'm not the one creating it or doing it. I just, felt like I wanted to share. And I found that to be a little bit more effective for Black males and Black females. Because it's like, oh, well, she ain't coming over here just telling me da-da-da-da-da, acting like she's so smart. And like, no, I just happen to find it and I want to share. Thank you.
The caller at 1745, did you have commentary you wanted to share?
Oh, thank you. Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, super. Sorry, I sleep all day, so because I work at night. Workplace racism. I work at night, and I have my manager is Caucasian, and my district manager is Caucasian. I was hired by my district manager, and who's the manager over my manager. So I've been there maybe 4 months, straight hotel hell. So whatever I thought was going to happen didn't happen because the hotel is just a mess. So she terrorizes, literally. I'm not there in the daytime, but she terrorizes everyone who's not white, literally, in one form or another. And she writes up everyone that's not white. So there's a Caucasian housekeeper still on probation, dusty, filthy Caucasian housekeeper. I guess she's coming from other hotels doing housekeeping. So just real filthy. And be it that she's coming from housekeeping, you would think she would have, a different style. So it's just atrocious. They just literally leave all the stuff for me to do. It's like, well, I don't mean to say like. It's similar to, I come in at night. I don't know what's going on in the daytime. There's a behind the hotel desk, I guess, is where they keep the washing machine and dryer and stock things. So I work back there and the front desk, and I'm spend a lot of time in the back because I have to do the laundry and things also. So housekeeping, they just throw all that stuff on the floor, dishes piled up to the sky. It's just real trifling. So when I get there, I'm supposed to do all this. So I told my immediate manager, could you guys at least wash some of the dishes and not just throw the dishes? Like I'm off on the weekend, and I'll come back and nothing was done from the weekend. Like no dishes, no stocking. So all that stuff just waits, and when she gets back, she'll do it. So that's usually when I get there Sunday night. It's like, oh, what did you guys do with the weekend? And nobody knows anything. So the rest of the staff will tell me how they were terrorized by the manager. One got promised a position just so she can be her flunky, and then a few weeks ago found out that, oh, well, we're going to hire somebody from somewhere else, not you, and you're still not even going to make the rate of other people. You may or may not get a raise. That's what she'll do, just to use you. She doesn't get a chance to use me because I'm just a little different, and she can't just read me like that. And then everyone else, they kind of show their hand, so it's easier to read. So they verbally clashed with this lady, so now she's just giving out write-ups left and right. There was a guy that trained me who happens to be her cousin. She has children with his some kind of Asian cousin. And he quit just last week because he couldn't deal with her. Because at first, I guess he figured because she, you have children with my cousin, maybe we'll be cool. But she started mistreating him as well. So this week, she's, oh, you're not folding enough. She'll come in and she'll try to figure out how do I tell her I need her to do more work for housekeepers. So she'll come in 5 minutes before it's time for me to leave because she probably doesn't want to deal with me. She should be there at 7. She gets there around 7:25, 7:30. That's great because I don't really want to see you either. So you need to, you're not, I notice these bins sometimes are full. You need to fold more stuff. You need to stock more linen for the housekeepers because then they have to take away from cleaning rooms to fold linen. So I said, so you want me to come in here with all these dishes piled up? It look like they came from the restaurant down the street. You want me to wash these dishes? You want me to clean up? You want me to stop, wash, fold, figure out? I said, you guys aren't even following the proper protocol for some of the soiled linen. You want me to figure all this stuff out and then have this sparkling ready clean so when you get in here, it's just so fresh and clean. And then when you leave, they can just do whatever. And then she tells the staff, oh, don't help her in the back. And mind you, there's only so much you can do at a hotel in the front desk all day. You're not just standing at the front desk checking in people. There's no hotel jumps like that. So there's things you can do. You don't have to just stand 7, 8 people at the front desk. So she said, no, don't help her, don't help her. So today I told her district manager. What did it was the Caucasian housekeeper has so many amenities, even though she hasn't even passed probation. One of them is that she's allowed to smoke her roofless cigarette in the housekeeping area. Now we have linen stock behind the register at the hotel, whatever, all the stuff is back there. We also have a floor on the second floor that stores linen, pillows, and knickknacks, clocks, whatever. And we have a third floor that does the same thing. So I stock those 2 at night. So I go up to the third floor. It smells just like cigarettes. So what the housekeeper is doing is standing inside of the room with all the linen and all that. Instead of going outside and smoking, she's smoking inside of the linen room. So I go up there. It could be 5 in the morning, whatever time I get up there. And it reeks like cigarettes. So after smelling that for about 4 days, I went to look to see who's working this shift. So it's the Caucasian housekeeper. So I just told my district manager I'm not going to be able to deal with that. I'm not going to be able to deal with stocking or doing all this stuff, and then your housekeeper is smoking in the living room. So I'll probably hear something tomorrow. I personally don't care because when I applied for the job, I didn't anticipate none of this extra stuff, so I could care less. But my manager gets a lot of complaints anyway as far as her management style, so I really don't care, but I'm not going to work in this hotel, and then I have to do all this labor. And then the housekeeper is smoking in the non-smoking facility in the housekeeping room where all the stuff is stored. That's just stupid. So, yeah, that's my workplace racism. And I'll leave my line. Thanks for taking my call.
Wow. Our mom in the Bay Area, another trend for the week, just poorly run, just really poorly run establishments. Even if you're going to have, I see flagrant disregard for smoking policies, lots of rules constantly in the system of white supremacy. But even if you're going to have white employees disregard your smoking policy in the linen closet, presumably, where you have, sheets, this is a hotel, sheets and pillows, and that's just going to smell up everything. Standard system of white supremacy, that type of flagrant disregard just for policies, and it's not even a real concern about, hey, let's try and go out and do the correct thing and take care of things. That's just not even in place. Just that sort of environment. I think you had said before when talking about this place, like this was not like a long-term career thing. It's not like you were or were looking to be here for 10, 15 years or anything like that. So this would be in the same this would be in the same type category where certainly we're working on other alternatives, keeping the resume fresh and looking for better alternatives. Not that you're going to be able to escape racism by switching jobs, but just you can look for a plantation where you are in a better position. take that literal. If folks have, I guess, suggestions, comments, if you're in one of those type of environments as well, where I'm not, and I have no intention. This is a job where I would be furious if I was here for longer than a year. I would just say for anything, for those types of jobs, I've been in that situation myself. I know other non-white people where you're trying to make a few dollars until you can figure out what the next move is going to be, till you can get in a better position, something more long-term. Make sure that is exactly what it was supposed to be, something short-term. Make sure that your short-term situation does not become, oh, wow, it's been 5 years, where did the time go? Because I've seen where racists can do that, where they can just get us distracted. A lot of times where we can end up being depressed and frustrated about trying to, make transitions and do what we need to do, where something that was supposed to be a short-term thing ends up being a 5-year or longer type thing. So just make sure that doesn't happen as best we can as well. The person that dialed in 5136, did you have commentary as well?
Yes, I like the comment, Gus. How you doing, and everybody, the family. Save you some money up, at least $5,000 working these jobs. Me, myself, I drive a 10-year-old car. My rent is $500. I'm trying to keep my bills low, because when when white people want to show they behind, I'll be ready. So that's what I've learned working out in the workforce. I've been listening on workplace racism, and I call it my bank money. So when I decide to leave a job or get fired, I can sit back, kick my feet up, and think about my next move. I always have access to at least save up at least $5,000, and so I can be prepared. Thank you for letting me comment.
Excellent plan. I'm a big fan of that. I'm not going to the R. Kelly concert anyway. I don't care if he headlines or not. Like cutting out all that frivolous spending so that you're not in debt, like not having the flashy brand new car and a lot of stuff that we don't need. I don't do any holidays and all that stuff. Like those type of things can be a big help as well when you can end up getting fired or have your workplace situation become very unpleasant quickly through no fault of your own. You could be A+ in your codification, doing everything that you're supposed to do, at work on time, doing phenomenal work, and still have things go poorly. That has happened to tons of black people. You can manage that and be a little less stressed if you're not just spending, really making the money to aggressively save. That's the position we should take. I mean, that's just wartime footing that we should be on to reflect our status as victims of white supremacy.
Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I just wanted to piggyback on just what the last caller said. I've also been trying to do that, not so well with the money, but I'm still learning. But I know, like, where I am, like a lot of the churches, they give away food, and so that's a way that I really save on not having to spend a bunch of money on food. Now, with the churches, they can be a little overpowering with the whole religious, trying to push their whole religion on you. But I just found that to be helpful too. But I definitely appreciate the caller's suggestion. So I'm definitely going to try to work on more of the saving side. But thank you.
Thomas in New York, are you with us, sir? Thomas in New York, are you with us, or did you need a moment to get situated?
I need a moment.
Oh, okay. We will.
May I be heard?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's get our caller in New York, and then I think that was Ken Steele. Caller in New York, and then Ken Steele.
Yes, I just wanted to big up the brother who just talked about saving money. That is huge, huge, huge. And I just like to say to any of the callers on the line, if you got, quote, unquote, one of those good government jobs or any job that offers something called deferred compensation, please utilize it. if white people give you extra crumbs periodically through your union or whatever it is, take those extra crumbs and stick it in your deferred compensation. I had one of those quote-unquote good government jobs for 23 years. And when white people terrorized me to the point where I just refused to do another 2 years, and I couldn't do another 2 years, and it was affecting my health, and I had to bounce, that deferred compensation was my nest egg, and I was able to relocate to help my mom out. So I totally second what the previous caller said. In addition to that, the young lady talked about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and I just want to say that there is something very, very powerful from my experience about invoking the name of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. That's why I know she's one of our venerated ancestors. I have been in situations, and this is in somebody's workplace. I don't want to go too far off. This was in some white people's workplace, and I was in there, and these white men, it was 2 white men and myself, and that was the only 3 people in this situation, and I needed to get something for my car. And I felt the cowbellism occurring, okay? You know, the trying to have the cowbellism occur, right? So, and I have a serious fear of white men, more so than white people in general, but white men, I have a serious, I don't know if it's some ancestor rolling up inside of me. It is something about them. When I'm in their presence, I just get so tense and so disgusted and so angry, and every negative feeling that you could ever think of just rolls through me. So, you know, this guy was like, oh, you know, you're talking about my car and this and that. And I know my car. I know a little bit about my car. I was taught about car parts, so I know a little bit about my car. I know how to change light bulbs and all of that stuff. So he's like, oh, well, you sound like you're not even from around here. And I'm like, yeah, I can't hide that, whatever. Where you from, the Bronx? And I was like, yeah, I'm from Manhattan, but I've lived in the Bronx. I mean, it was just awful. The whole thing was just getting really, really disgusting. So all I could do in my mind, was go, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. I was invoking her name in my mind. And he was getting ready to say, and it was around the time when Kanye had his mental illness, his mental thing go on, the last one he had. So now this white man said, oh, yeah, you know, he wants to talk about Kanye West because, you know, if he talks about that, of course, you know, that'll lead me into some kind of disgusting, sexually searing conversation with him, right? So he goes, yeah, you know, Kanye West. And just when he said that, as I'm invoking that name, the other white boy came back with the light bulb and said, oh, here you are, ma'am. And I was ready to take care of my business and run out of there. So, you know, I'm back in my car and I'm driving down the street and I'm cussing and I'm angry and everything. I thought about it and I was like, you know, when you started saying to yourself, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, that whole thing ended. You know what I mean? And this guy could have kept on with this crazy conversation, and you know, and I could have gotten just even more frustrated, and who knows, I could have just got to the point where I just ran out of there with you know, not getting what it was that I needed. But I just wanted to say that was the last time I really, really said her name in my head, and it kind of stopped the situation from happening, and I got out there. I just wanted to say that. It might not mean anything at all. All right. Thanks a lot. I'll mute my line.
Wow. Mr. Steele, you were going to follow, sir?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, has anybody been noticing this around the workplace, around these the holiday season? Suspected white supremacists will shoehorn the phrase Merry Christmas, and then they'll vocalize that they didn't mean to say that, or that they said that on accident, or that they're trying not to say that, and then they're leaving everybody else to either carry on in a conversation, or they'll get a victim of white supremacy to tackily say Merry Christmas explicitly back. I think that's like has anybody noticed this at all?
This is Lashes. Yes, I have noticed that this year, particularly. A lot of RWS have been saying Merry Christmas in particular. I haven't heard Happy Holidays often. And I also noticed a lot of victims who are black participating in the horrible Christmas ugly sweater fiasco. So that's all.
Yeah, and that's something that happened this year. That's something I've noticed this year. It's people that normally I don't even think that they think about Christmas or that they have like some sort of Christmas cheer, because before all of this war on Christmas stuff was limited to like older Fox News age demographic suspected racists. I'm seeing it reflected more and more in my peers and in younger people this year in particular. I'm just wondering, has anybody else noticed that this uptick in this forceful and very aggressive Merry Christmas salutation this year?
Yes, this year, yes, absolutely. I co-sign that.
I'm sorry, I do as well. I haven't heard anybody say Happy Holidays. Everybody's saying Merry Christmas. I totally agree.
Once again, that is another means for white people to use as a litmus test, especially to non-white people, that whether or not they are in support and agreement with their religion, which is white supremacy, racism. It's just code for them. It's just code for them, and they and as I hear a lot of people saying, is that white people have to have an understanding of racism, white supremacy, and they run tests on their victims to see, or whether they really don't care whether or not we don't like what they're doing. Just as long as you acknowledge and submit to it is what they're concerned about. They don't care what your personal opinion is, as far as they're concerned. And I see it all the time. But I just wanted to say also, and this is one of the identifiable things that take place at a fire station. It still goes back to its early origins of being a quote-unquote house. And we know what goes on, excuse me, from a house situation when it comes to this time of the year, with the lights and the tree and all of that, that type of stuff, and even some situations to whereas somebody wants to wear one of these red hats, and then there's talk about hair claws, and also this white person who was the image of Michelangelo's relative as being God and that sort of thing. And I would double dare that white person to ask me why I was not participating in none of it. I would purposely come to work on whatever my shift was prior to, putting up lights and a Christmas tree and whatnot, that sort of thing like that, and be daring for one of them to ask me about why I'm not participating in none of it. Because I was quite prepared, and the listeners that's on this program, I'm pretty sure all of you are pretty much prepared too, also. But in my situation for 28 years, that is something that actually took place at the fire station, and but white people are very keen on who are the people that they are going to be more direct into their mistreatment with. And there's so many non-white, unfortunately, so many non-white people that they can choose from that are more confused on racism, white supremacy. So they won't have to come to somebody like me to say, well, why you don't participate in this and that sort of thing like that, and yeah, so I acknowledge on the question that was presented that it's a means that a white person will utilize to see if you are down with it. They would say that and expect your response.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second, because we had someone write in. They just wanted feedback. They said, I've been working for a call center for about 3 months. I noticed that my coworkers, they have in quotes or in parentheses, Hispanic/white, treat me very differently. They invite everyone but me to go to happy hour lunch. Now, even that one, I don't know if that is an invitation to go drinking or if that's an invitation to go to eat, because happy hour is generally associated with alcohol. But continuing, they even invite my other two black coworkers. I believe they dislike me. I'm not sure why, though. I treat them all with respect. Can you give me some advice on how to deal with coworkers who don't like you? And I totally trust this person's judgment. If you're getting a sense that for whatever reason they do not treat you, they don't have the same enthusiasm in how they interact with you, the type of contact that you have with them, you don't get invited to all the, I guess, outings and things that they participate in, or they just don't include you in all their fun. As long as it was not connected to mistreatment. Now, if you're feeling like your job might be in jeopardy, I would be checking in. If you have a direct supervisor or someone, just be checking in about your performance, anything that you should be concerned about, anything that you need to improve on. They have those sort of talks and what have you. I mean, on most jobs, it should not be an out of the blue thing unless you have done something really egregious. It shouldn't be out of the blue. They should let you know if there are things you should be working on, what your performance is. So as long as you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and it doesn't look like it's going to be something where you're going to be terminated, I would not focus a whole lot of time and frustration on them not liking you. They might even be doing you a favor by not, including you in going out to lunch or happy hour, quote unquote, whatever they're doing. You'd have to give some more details to kind of let us know if you think this is something that might be jeopardizing your job, or you think this is more serious than just, we're just not going to talk to this person too much on the job. Can anybody have feedback on this specifically?
I say amen to your response, for one thing, and I don't unless and just like you said, as long as it doesn't jeopardize my pay or my time to get a raise, I would not worry about it. You should not be on a job with the idea of expecting looking for a friend or a buddy, or somebody, whether or not somebody likes you or not. As far as from what I gather from what I'm listening to with the write-in, maybe it's something that was not articulated in the writing, but from what I listened to, that's my thoughts on it. It's similar to yours. As long as it doesn't jeopardize your pay or opportunity for a raise, then they may be doing you a favor. Thank you.
I would say just exercise self-respect. Don't be concerned about respecting others. Be courteous, yes, but respecting others is irrelevant. Just have self-respect.
I like to share with everyone. I think that you're absolutely correct in what you said, Gus. I agree with you. I was actually smiling when he said they don't invite them to happy hour or whatever the case may be, because I'm like, hey, that's great. The less time you spend around them, the better. And as long as they're, like you said, as long as they're not mistreating you in any way, or jeopardizing your job in any way, then you should be straight as far as that's concerned. The less contact with them, the better. Less chance of you getting into anything that could potentially jeopardize your job. Thank you.
Yep, I agree. I think that the listener should expect one of the two black people that are being invited along these trips, or both of them, to be fired very, very soon. They will run into problems associated with their behavior and their off-work activities. It's only inevitable. I would also include that this victim just pay attention to doing the best job that you can do while you're on the clock. And then when you're off the clock, minimize all contact with anybody at your job. The goal for all victims should be so that people on the job do not think about you at all while they are off the clock. That is the moment they're thinking about you, when you are not at work, that is a cause for concern. So you're doing the right thing. Stay out of their way. Let these other people fall into whatever is waiting for them at one of these happy hour incidences.
May I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
I totally agree with what everybody just said. And to the author of that, please know that when you get up in the morning and when you step foot in, you do what you have to do, and before you step foot on that job, the only thing that's in your mind should be, I am behind enemy lines. The entire world is, but when you're in your world, you are behind enemy lines, and that is a plantation. You have to think of it as such. You have to think about those people who are inviting you to work, inviting you to happy hour, whether or not they're victims of racism or not, or participants in that plantation system. They are sitting around those tables and they are saying things that are irrelevant. If they're talking about work while they're drinking, they are saying things that they are not supposed to be saying. They are talking about people in a manner that they should not be talking about them, and they will try to drag you into that, and you will become an accomplice to that. And when you sit back at your desk, some of your decisions may be influenced by what you have heard or what you have said at that same table or what somebody has observed about you. And it becomes a big, 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 big mess. So, yes, they are doing you a favor. You should be your own best friend. You should find ways to entertain yourself while you're working and not be bothered with what other people may think about you because you don't participate in their little quote-unquote around this time reindeer games. So that's all I had to say, and I'll mute my line.
Let me
comment really quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
Just really quick. Two things. I would say you wrote to the cows, so you listen to the cows. Makes you, I think, a little bit different. You have access to a little bit more information. And whether your behavior has been changed intentionally all the time, I'm sure to some degree it has been changed. So there might be something noticeably different about you than, say, other more confused victims who perhaps are not listening to the cows. And I also think that you are in a very, I'd love to be in that position, not to watch it go down because it's going to be sad for the two non-white victims who are thinking that they're special and so forth. However, it does provide you a unique opportunity to study how it's about to go down. I mean, so long as, you're not drawing any attention to yourself, you really can, pay attention to it, see how they change, watch the behaviors that the non-white people are engaged in that has them be a little bit more likable, watch their nonverbals, watch the white people's nonverbals, watch what's being said. You can really be like a fly on the wall because perhaps they, hopefully, they just don't see you and you're more just invisible. They just don't think you're cool, less than they don't like you, which is energetic animosity. Should you be just kind of invisible, you can just watch. And I'd love to hear as it, progresses, what happens. That's a really cool place to be because you can see, you already know what's going to happen for the most part. It's not healthy for the non-white people. The white people are practicing racism and terrorism. So you can kind of just watch. Okay, thank you.
Definitely appreciate that. And follow up. I've been saying that for a while. Listeners, follow up if you call in or you write in this case to kind of share incidents of workplace racism. Give us the follow-up, how things evolve on the job, if you utilize some of the strategies that were suggested here. Let us know, how things worked out. If you come up with your own codification about how you want to proceed, great. Let us know how it worked out. I think that would be helpful also. I was going to get Thomas in New York, but it looks like he just disconnected, so I don't know if we'll be able to get him in before we wrap things up this week. Did other folks have commentary they wanted to get in? I posted an article. It was a rent-a-center facility in New Jersey where they had a widespread pattern of terrorizing the black employees, calling them niggers on the job and what have you. It was, I guess, one person in particular who was doing this. It was reported. They did nothing. They moved the person to a different branch, and surprise, they started doing it at the new branch as well. It just went on and on and on about how, this problem couldn't be solved, and they came out and did the same speech. We take this very seriously. We have a policy of no discrimination, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. The same, rehearsed boilerplate speech that they always give, but I posted that as well. I say all that to say, number one, documentation, because I think this was one where this was happening over and over again. documentation, get your recording device. All of these situations are tough to navigate, but you are in a much better position if you can go in with, I got, 60 different recordings of an assortment of nigger jokes and all kinds of racist behavior where you can just hear Bob and Susan and Helen, starting from 2014 all the way up to 2016. You are in a much better position when you have that or documentation supporting as opposed to just going in with your memory. Document. Other folks have things they wanted to get in? Last 5 minutes before we conclude?
Yes, I did. I'm forgetting the black female's name who talked about invoking Dr. Welsing. I just want to speak to that. Essentially, that is so important. One of the things that I found that really has helped me navigate the system of white supremacy is African spirituality, and that is something that I do regularly. And the ancestors hear you. When you call an ancestor's name at least a minimum of 3 times, they hear you, and they do respond. And I call her the queen mother of black self-respect, and that's how I refer to her when I invoke her name at my altar or wherever I am when I invoke her name. And it's very, very important. They do help. They do respond, and sometimes they will manipulate those situations from the world of the unseen to make things like you getting your light bulb on just in time to leave that terrorist happen. It works, and it works very well, and it's something I've experienced quite often throughout my life. So I just wanted to let people know, please invoke your ancestors. Please invoke Dr. Welsing and all the other great ancestors that fought against the system of white supremacy. They are still fighting. They may not have a physical form, but they're still helping us navigate the system. Thank you.
Ashe, Ross. Thank you.
Thank you. That is brilliant. Thank you.
This is Lashes. I do the same as well. I invoke my ancestors and particular names, and I also invoke Papa Legba, and that's it.
The road opener, absolutely. That is very important. Yes, ma'am.
Can I be heard really quick?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get to comment about the, this is 1842, about the Merry Christmas. I have noticed it. My codified responses are these 2, Happy Holidays, and same to you. Like, if someone's like, Merry Christmas, same to you, whatever. And I think it was Mr. Firefighter who was saying that it's code. I absolutely agree, and which is why I don't respond back with a Merry Christmas. This is just if someone's like listening like to an archive. I stay with the like PC terms and all that, whatever. I go with whatever the flow is to get the thing moving. But that's a way of saying, like, it's like a non-direct way of saying I acknowledge what you're doing, but I'm not participating. So by just staying with the standard Happy Holidays, because I have to do a lot of greeting. So it's like Happy Holidays, like Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, same to you, because I'm not participating. Because I feel like if you participate that one time, then that opens the doorway for more tacky, trashy, terroristic behavior to come your way. I think by keeping the standard response, the politically correct, quote-unquote, response, that draws the boundary and keeps them at bay.
Oh, I must agree with you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I wanted to, I originally posted the question about the Merry Christmas comment, and I'll say that the way that I reacted to it when it happened in front of me was that this person said it to a person that we were on a call with as a salutation. And then after the call concluded, they made a big deal about the fact that they said Merry Christmas over on a call. And my response was to be, I just said, yeah, I thought I heard the other guy talk about his Christmas shopping on the other line, so I think he'll be okay. And then we departed. Now, I didn't want to engage in how I say it or what I do or whatever. I just spoke to the specific situation at hand, and I tried to do so in a manner that did not play up the fact that this just occurred. And then there was another instance when another person in this organization did the same thing in the same pretty much the same context. And in that case, the person that we just got off the phone with happened to have a last name that would suggest that they were Jewish, and they made a big deal about it. And me, I just, in my codified response, or my attempt to codify, I pretended not to hear anything. I looked at my cell phone. So I don't know if I've been identified as somebody to constantly expose this to, or if it's just a consequence of being a victim of white supremacy in the room that just gives them that clues them into that they have to do this. But I was just wondering if the response that I had, if those responses will elicit any more trouble for myself, or if that was the correct thing to do in that instance.
Well, have you experienced any mistreatment since that time?
You know what? To be honest, I think I have. I just think that there might be a little bit. I'm detecting that there's some extra scrutiny being shown my way, and I don't, but then again, and my work situation is such that I don't really I'm not able to monitor so much or gauge how other people are being treated, but I'm just detecting that there are these little things that are, that are showing me that this person may be exhibiting, may be practicing white supremacy against me. I mean, they openly listen to or watch. I don't hear them because they're usually wearing headphones, but they're openly watching Joe Rogan's podcast regularly. And I mean, I'm familiar with this. I'm familiar with this character, and it seems to be part of that Reddit / alt-right crowd. And I just get, something is, rubbing me the wrong way about this character that I'm, this person in particular that I'm referring to on the job. And they have a lot of say in how my day goes. So this is just something that I guess is very concerning to me. And it's just these little things that maybe I might be crazy or something like that, but I just think that I might be doing the wrong thing or showing that I might be of a codified mindset to somebody who is also very codified in their practice of white supremacy. I don't know.
We'll leave it there. That'll be one to ponder. We can think about it for a week and come back. I guess generally on the job, I tend to be a little bit more conservative with things that are what I would call innocuous, right? Like this is not someone looking to beat you out of money on your paycheck. This is not someone trying to switch your work schedule around so that you now have to start your day at 4 a.m. in the morning. This is not someone trying to move your position, so now that you have an hour commute to and from work. Like if they're saying Merry Christmas or something like that, where you can respond in a way where you make it known that you don't participate in this or what have you. Like I kind of weigh the cost. I kind of do a cost-benefit analysis. Is it worth it? Like I think we had a caller before where I think they were wearing like a Marcus Garvey garment to work or something of that nature. And I said, well, what problem are we trying to solve? And there was no problem that they were trying to solve. I would kind of use the same type of analysis. So what problem am I trying to solve? If I, however I respond to if it's Merry Christmas or if it's something else that I'd kind of put in that innocuous category. What problem is this going to solve? How's this going to make things better for me? What am I hoping to accomplish with all this? If there is not really anything tangible or anything really worthwhile that I can put there, and then if I come back in the other column that this could, somehow work out, it could antagonize whites. It might set off their radar where they know I'm a little bit more informed, where I think there's even the potential for that sort of thing happening, I tend to be a little bit more conservative and say I won't do that because there's nothing to gain. This is just, something where maybe for 5 seconds I can feel good, and then that'll wear off when I come in tomorrow, and now they're being extra nasty to me. That tends to be the way I evaluate those type of things. But I had to think about it for a little while, and we can all think about it and come back and share a view next week. We should be here tomorrow, same time. Gwen Eiffel, The Breakthrough, Politics and Race in the Age of Obama. This is our third session. We're on chapter 4. We're kind of in the midpoint. That's the race-gender clash that we were on from last week. But that'll be tomorrow. Saturday is the compensatory call-in, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And then we'll be here on Sunday, the 25th. We'll give out the details as we're moving along. And we should even have one of our favorite subject matters coming up in the middle of next week, Area 8. There are 2 listeners who have almost the exact same name. Both non-white females. They both have one non-white parent and one white parent. They each have a white mother. It is remarkable how similar their experiences are. And I think it reveals a lot about the patterns and the treachery, how white women practice racism in these arrangements, how white people, period, practice racism in these arrangements. But it's eerie once you hear how it's almost like they're twins. And the wild thing is that one of them is a twin. Chantel, she's been on the program many times before. There's another listener who just started tuning in a little while ago, and you'll get a hoot. And I think just on that alone, just how similar their experiences are, I think that will reveal a lot about racist women. But that's down the road for next week. Thanks all the folks who tuned in. I hope it was of some constructive value. If you want to share, you can feel free, untiljustice@gmail.com. We share the workplace racism emails during the broadcast. If you get confused, if you have a question about workplace racism, and or if you have a question, if you can't find something in the archives, if you have a guest suggestion, if you just have a question about something that was presented on the program that is not clear to you or what have you, drop an email, untiljustice@gmail.com. Listener supported counter racist radio. Invest. If you think the program is constructive, you can visit the blog racism-notes.blogspot.com. racism-notes.blogspot.com. You will see the PayPal button in the top right corner. If you're not into PayPal, drop us an email. We will get you a physical mailing address. Thanks to everyone who has supported. Hope the program has helped you get a better understanding of what white supremacy is and how it works. With that, I will state again, I posted the article on my Facebook page within the last 24 hours. Here in Washington State, they are ramping up. State troopers are getting overtime to do their DUI patrols for the holiday. It's not even a weekend. This is going to go all the way through the new year. So they're having all these extra enforcement officers, race soldiers, no doubt, out patrolling. I know most of you all do not live in Washington State, but I'm pretty sure enforcement officers are going to be doing the same type of thing, regardless of where you happen to be. Keep that in mind. Sobriety would be best. We already have enough problems. This is something that's easily avoidable and might even cut down on some unnecessary conflict as folks are hanging out in great numbers over the next couple of days. If you are going to do some alcohol or cannabis or whatever your drug of choice, you want to have a code with that to make sure you don't have to do a whole lot of driving, make sure you don't have to come in contact with any whites and do any talking, and maybe even to make sure you don't have unnecessary conflict with non-white people while you are under the influence. Evidence thus far has shown all of the narcotics, drugs, alcohol, etc. has not helped us to solve this problem. So maybe we should give sobriety a try. That's it. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cows signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother.
No problem. You're a victim.
Yeah. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.